Welcome to Talk Around Riyadh, the Wheel of Time showcast. I am your host, Joe Perry, here with my co-hosts, Jen Isgro, Tom Kakoza, and special guest co-host, Brendan Johnston. How's everyone doing tonight? Jen, I think, I don't know, I'm afraid to ask.
I'm okay. I'm better. I'm better today. We're deep in it. We're in season 2. I'm excited about this.
Season 2,
keep going.
We are in you.
We are in you, season 2. We've gotten past the first episode. Now is when the meat starts to come.
We've passed
it does. It does.
The meat starts to rise.
We passed the outer crust and are heading towards the, what's the next layer? I don't even know. I don't remember my layers of the earth.
Pop the cherry on this season.
Yeah.
And we're plunging inside of it.
We haven't reached the what is the liquid portion of the
magma?
The magma.
The magma yet. I forget what the name of that is. I have to look all this stuff up.
Mantle?
The mantle. Thank you, Tom. That's right underneath the crust, right? Is the mantle?
Yes. Crust, mantle, outer core, inner core.
Thank you, Tom. We're in the we are in the mantle then.
We're in the mantle.
We're in the mantle, everybody. Tom, how you doing?
So much fun in the mantle, guys.
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to talk about this episode for multiple reasons. And I'm very curious about what everybody else's thoughts are.
Can you give us one of those reasons, Tom?
Yes. I am excited to talk about this episode because I feel like we tried to be as out there as we could be in our predictions of what was going to happen in this season. And I realize now we cannot get out there enough.
Nope.
Brendan, how you doing?
Yes.
Do you think we're out there enough?
We're out there, Jerry, and I'm loving every minute. Yeah, let's go wide with it. Let's really explore the studio space. I think the next episode is going to be silent.
Oh, I like that.
Like that one G.I. Joe issue.
We'll see, guys.
Yeah.
There's no text in it.
It was all
No.
Yeah, what does a silent comic book look like? I mean,
there's just no dialogue. This is
okay.
about Snake Eyes who doesn't talk.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, it's like, okay, forget it. I'm not even gonna get into what I was gonna say. All right, I want to get into this episode. There's a lot to dig into here. For some reason, I tried to keep my notes shorter than last week's, and somehow they were longer than last week. So I don't know what happened there. But before we get into that, Jen, let's get into our recap.
Okay, just a quick note. I'm trying a different format for the recap. So I'm doing it story by story. They're going to let me know when I'm done which one they like better, and you can let me know which one you like better. Okay, episode 2, Strangers and Friends, written by Catherine B. McKenna, directed by Thomas Napper. In a scene I have never seen before, Leandrin brings Matt some sweet cakes, and when he touches them, he makes them filthy. Apparently, the Aes Sedai are still just watching him to be sure the dagger effects are gone. When she leaves the room, Matt immediately jumps up to begin digging again. He finally gets one stone to fall out of the wall and finds Min trapped in the room next door. He gives her a spoon, and they both continue digging at the wall. Once the hole is big enough, Min climbs through to Matt's room with a bottle of wine. She tells him she came to Tarvalon to bartend, but was captured by a Red for her ability to glimpse the pattern. Matt does not want to know what she sees about him, but we do, and she sees him killing Rand. Whoops.
Wow.
In the novice quarters, again, a scene I am seeing for the first time. Some servants are moving in literally everything a new girl owns. This new girl insults poor little innkeeper's daughter Egwene's lack of anything fancy. But she doesn't mean to. She's just sheltered. Her name is Elaine Tricand, the daughter heir of Andor, and Egwene is her subject, despite having never heard of her. Elaine wants to be besties immediately. Egwene gives her a tour of the tower, but Elaine has already spent her summers here. She just wants to hang out with her new friend. Shiriam demands to know who let Elaine bring all her shit in here, but Elaine won't say and takes the punishment, a switching every day, on her own shoulders.
Sorry,
Shiriam only addresses Egwene to ask where Nynaeve is. The girls share some beer that Elaine brewed herself with the power. Elaine asks Egwene about Nynaeve, and of course, in the grand history of all media, Nynaeve overhears Egwene talking about her.
Is that beer?
I thought she said something about beer.
Did she?
Yeah, it's definitely an alcoholic beverage.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
know
know if it was
that
beer or
part.
cider.
Okay.
Okay.
I know it's
doesn't really
definitely
matter. I thought it
alcoholic.
was beer. I thought she said something that made me think it was beer. Okay. Elaine tells Egwene to stop being jealous after having known her 2 hours, and I love Elaine.
She says she's seen jealousy. She is the
Yeah,
daughter
well.
heir, after all.
She has, yes. Leandrin brings Nynaeve to watch an accepted healing a child of breakbone fever. Leandrin pockets a vial of the healing herbs because one moment can't go by without her doing something underhanded. Nynaeve is amazed by
What?
the healing weaves.
Whoa. Those are not healing herbs. Those
What
are
are they?
herbs
It's like a
that...
drink. I don't know. It's a vial of something.
It's something that
It's like
could kill
morphine.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
poison.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Listen, my
It
my
numbs
closed
the pain.
captioning wasn't working, so I could there's a lot of stuff in this I could barely hear, or
Okay.
understand, I should say. Okay. Nynaeve is amazed by the healing weaves. Leandrin tells her about how she can train with the Ajahs as an accepted, while continuing to try to recruit her to the Reds. She says that Aes Sedai have extended lives and can make big changes in the world. She tells Nynaeve to take the test for accepted when she is called to. Then Leandrin can take over her studies. Alana and her warders have a meeting with Sheriam, a rather important one, about Nynaeve's testing. Sheriam is for it. She wants Nynaeve's power on their side for the last battle. Alana doesn't like it, but she's all packed up to go and help Moraine, so she can't do much about it. Nynaeve sees Leandrin leaving through a secret passage out of the tower and follows her. Leandrin goes to the home of a very sick older man who she's been trying to heal. She gets extremely angry when she sees Nynaeve watching, and we find out this guy is her son? Nynaeve tries to help her, but Leandrin slaps her and throws her out. I am shook. Leandrin slept with a man?
No, if
We'll
she
talk about it.
voluntarily did that.
All right, let's talk about it later. Later that night, Leandrin summons Nynaeve into the basement where Lyanna and Sheriam are waiting. Accepted test, bitches. Nynaeve approaches the arches, but we'll need to wait for next episode because this needs time to simmer.
Simmer.
Moraine and Lan recover from their wounds. Sisters, Varen and Adelaus,
Yes, I noticed that.
have agreed to accompany Moraine on her journey. Moraine tells Lan they are headed to the White Tower, while continuing to be an absolute bitch to him. The group camps for the night, and Varen admits to Moraine that she knows she has found the dragon. Moraine non-subtly pulls her dagger half out of its scabbard, and Varen is happy to see that Moraine would kill for him. She won't take an oath to Moraine, but says she will go to the tower and retrieve prophecies that Moraine will need. In camp, Adelaus goads Moraine and Lan into telling the story of how they met, which ends with Lan tossing Moraine into a pond. Lan finds the poem from Baeldomen on Moraine's horse, but pockets it as Moraine approaches. He apologizes for failing during the Fade attack. Moraine tells him that she picked him as her warder because she knew he was strong enough to survive alone. She finally explains everything. The seals are failing and freeing the Forsaken. He has no conception of the power they wield. She tells him Rand's alive, and she is sending Lan back to the tower with Alana, who appears from the darkness. Lan failed her, and they were never equals. Can she say more mean things? I don't think so.
She's white fanging him hard this
Yeah,
time.
He knows
is
it.
vicious.
This
Vicious.
is white fanging. She's throwing
The
rocks
dream
at
is
him.
dead,
She's
and Moraine
throwing.
leaves him.
She's throwing verbal stones at him.
He says, don't do it. Don't white fang me. She does it anyway. Elias leads the Shinarans to an abandoned town. Perrin thinks he sees a woman in a window, but when they go inside the home, it's all flies and dead bodies and rotting food. Perrin, amid more wolf howls and golden eyes, sees a vision of the family who live there getting slaughtered by dark friends in a fade. Elias tries to talk to him about the visions, but Perrin still wants no part of it. Elias says something scared Fane and his crew away, just as Massima finds a dead Fade nailed to a door. No one wants to wait around and see who did that, so they peace out. They stop for the night at a nice little town on the river where everyone is happy and nothing bad will ever happen. Elias prefers to sleep under the stars and tells Perrin the Shinarans are not his pack. In the night, Perrin awakens to absolute chaos. 2 soldiers drag him from his bed. Everyone is fighting. The townspeople are all being corralled or killed. The soldiers try to tie Loyal down, but he is roaring like a goddamn monster and literally busting heads. The Shinarans are also destroying guys. Again, I really wish this happened in the daytime. Eventually, the group gathers together and is approached by 4 women. 2 in the front are wearing gags. Before they can think, the women channel an absolute hurricane blast of wind that sends them all flying. Perrin is unconscious until morning when the soldiers have the townspeople gathered outside. 2 very important women are carried in on a huge palanquin, accompanied by a Shamael. Great news all around. Rand is having terrible dreams about killing all his Two Rivers friends and Ishamael taunting him. He's also sleeping with his landlady, and he's not even getting a break on rent. He's staying just outside Cairien, amidst the lower-class people of the Foregate, but he's got a cushy job inside the walls, at a sanitarium, where he gets a glimpse of what his future may hold. He's kind to the patients, especially one older man who used to be a blade master and thinks Rand is an Aiel from his past. The man, Errol, tells Rand about how fierce the Aiel were that he faced in the war. A dickhead co-worker of Rand's makes fun of the patients and thinks he's so cool because he gets to work outside in the garden with the more famous residents. Errol whispers to Rand exactly what sword forms he would use to murder that guy. That night, the Foregate is rocking. People are carousing, Trolloc puppets are dancing. Rand watches as Johnny Dickhead stupidly walks away from his friends, and Rand uses the opportunity to teach the guy a lesson. Except he accidentally channels, and if Johnny's not dead, he's as close as it gets.
I think he's alive. I think he breathes.
He's breathing.
He
He's
breathes.
breathing.
It's
Yeah,
But
very-
his
Yeah.
head's not where it should
Yeah,
be on his
Right.
body.
All right. Rand goes back to his room and finds Celine waiting. He wants to be alone, but she's not having it. So fine, he'll have sex with her. God.
Again.
Rand and Celine pillow talk about old flames. Rand reminds Celine of someone she used to love, and she likes to pretend Rand is him.
That's good.
The next day at work, Rand gets Johnny Dickhead's position. A promotion, way to go. Outside in the garden with the more famous residents, Rand meets his new patient, Logain Ablar, the false dragon. Was this his plan all along? I have no idea. Let's talk about it, shall we?
Ooh.
The end.
Yeah.
Well done.
Okay, so just quickly for my feedback, I feel like it was just as long as when you did it the other way.
When I timed it, it was shorter. So
No,
I
I'm
don't know.
not. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it
What do
didn't-
you prefer? Do you?
I think
what
I
do you
like it
guys-
the other way better when you jump around. I don't know.
Alright.
What do you guys like?
Yeah, chronological, but I thought this was fun.
It was good. It was
Alright,
good. It was still
thank
good,
you.
Jen.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's get into this episode. I'm going to start with the cold open here, I guess. Because it's the cold open. I feel like we always have to start with the cold open. So, it's a Rand cold open. It's kind of not like any of the other cold opens we've gotten in the show, really, because it's just a normal thing happen. It's
Yeah.
like nothing special, nothing out of
I didn't even think that was a cold open.
outside the
think it
episode.
was a cold open.
It seemed pretty normal.
It's,
Go ahead, Brendan. Sorry.
it's just the first scene.
Yeah.
It's not really a cold
Yeah.
open in
Yeah.
the sense we've come to expect.
Yeah, I agree. And then also I don't think we talked about it though, but they've seemed to have forgone the
Yeah.
opening credits.
Yeah, I was hoping that that was a first episode thing, but it
Yeah.
looks like it's just a thing.
That's terrible.
I'm fine with it. I always skip the credits anyway, so I
You're
watch it once or
fun.
twice, and that's all I need. Unless it's certain shows.
Well, now you can't watch it once or twice because it's not existent.
I can go back to the first season and watch it.
I
I can
missed
sing it for
that.
you
We still
now.
got that part. All right,
We're good.
here we go. Let's do the the whole cold open. I'm sorry, the
Yeah.
whole credit sequence right now, Chad. Tom.
I can. No, I won't, but I can.
All right. So Rand's sleeping with a woman that he's met. She's apparently the innkeeper or the landlady of the place that he's staying in. He's got a job. He's been busy. And it sounds like, right, they mentioned like all these nights. So he's been with her for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this.
Oh, Jen feels about it.
Great. I feel great. I know how Gwen would feel about it if she knew.
Oh, well, she,
Then
yeah.
Egwene shouldn't have broken up with him.
That's right.
Originally, you mean like in the first episode?
Which time?
You left me
Yeah.
first. What do you want to do?
Which time?
Right.
Yeah, this is, I will say this, Cairien, the topless towers. Did y'all see the topless towers
Yeah.
of Cairien?
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
liked Cairien. I like the aesthetics of it and the Foregate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Is
I have
the Topless Towers another fan name?
No, they're unfinished towers. They're that's what they're. They're not like
You
boobs.
just don't believe anything anymore.
they're
Okay.
They're the
women from
They're-
Cairien are very well endowed.
WOW. No, it's yeah. There's just a they're unfinished. These permanently unfinished
Okay.
towers.
They're towers without tops.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah.
Other things can be without tops, not
Yeah.
just
I
women.
understand that.
like
Yes,
muffins.
I'm aware.
Muffins. So I have a question about
Muffins, how boring.
It's even the point.
muffin stumps.
The stuff.
So Rand working in the sanitarium. I have a question about this. I watched and rewound it a couple of times. I don't think were there any female patients in there?
I thought I saw one.
I thought I saw
the
one,
room?
but I wasn't. I thought I saw one as well.
Okay, because I don't know if I did, and then I started to wonder if these were all like gentle men.
No,
I don't think so.
No,
No,
I think
so.
Arrow is
They're all
clearly-
gentlemen.
Yeah, I think Arrow is
Gentlemen.
clearly dealing with like massive
PTSD.
PTSD from the
right.
Aiel War.
Yeah.
Like he just can't. Like he's got shell shock still.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, he hears a bang and he thinks, So I think it's just people who can't be in society anymore.
Yeah.
From everywhere, apparently. They only have that one sanitarium in the whole world.
Well, we don't know that. I don't.
Yeah, I think it's just. Yeah, well, I doubt they have a lot of them,
Yeah.
but this one
Yeah,
happens
well,
to be very nice.
These societies have a real harsh way of dealing with mental illness. So I don't think they probably do have a lot of sanitariums.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to ask a question because you didn't mention it in your recap, Jen. Did you all hear the voice at the end of the end of the cold open when Rand's walking?
Yeah.
It says, I couldn't hear what they said in the beginning, but it says, "Do you hear? You are mine, Rand al'Thor."
Yeah, it's like the voice from his dream is continuing in his head as he's going through his morning.
Yeah. There was voices speaking earlier than that, but I couldn't make it out. It was too low, and then it just became clearer at the end there.
I just thought that was a Shamael.
Yeah, I believe it is. I believe it's him. I think in the beginning it's talking about like he's encouraging him to do all that murder.
You don't think, right? We see in the first season Logain is hearing voices.
Oh. Well,
Yeah, that's the connection. That's the first thing I thought of.
Oh,
Like,
I
I
didn't
also
know.
couldn't.
I just thought it was like
couldn't make it
carryover.
out.
Definitely says, "Do you
That
hear?
well.
You are mine, Rand al'Thor." Those are the last two things that were said for sure.
Right.
I went back and listened to it. I was listening to it with my headphones on so I could hear it clear.
So I guess this is a question, and I don't think the question is necessarily answered right now, but Ishii was in his dreams in season 1, presumably is actually in his dream, and that's just not a bad dream that he has at the beginning of this episode. So is he going crazy, or is he trying to make him think that he's going crazy?
Yes.
Both.
I don't think he's going crazy yet, you think?
I
don't know.
It seems very similar to that Logain scene when he's hearing the voices. That's what I was thinking of when I heard it. I wasn't even thinking. I did not think it was a Shamael at all.
Well, I'll say this: all the time people have heard voices, the 2 times that you've seen that, both Logain and like the guy in one of the cold opens in season 1, episode 1, like those have purported to be like friends guiding you, maybe to do bad things, but like they weren't like.
Could be a friend trying to guide him. We're going to talk a little bit more about this when we have our spoiler conversation. I think I don't want to get too deep into it, but do you want to talk about the Rand storyline since he's the cold open, or you want to jump in? Okay.
Yeah. So I do want to point out that
it's a short storyline.
That Arrow, his PTSD friend, like has been training him in how to use the sword. Rand mentions that he's been he snuck in the sword a few times.
No, he says I'll try to sneak in my sword
again.
Does he say again?
Again, and you can show me more moves.
Oh, yes. He does? I thought he said I'll try to sneak in my sword next time.
No,
so you can show me some moves. Oh, no. Again.
Yes.
Oh, because I was going to ask that question then. Is this where he's going to learn how to use the sword? So I guess the answer is then yes.
Yeah.
Finally. I love how when Rand walks in, he thinks he's in the Aiel War because he thinks Rand's in Aiel because Rand is, spoiler alert, not really, because you kind of got that from the first season that Rand is at least partially Aiel.
I thought it was really interesting that Rand didn't bother saying he wasn't.
No, he didn't. It
Well,
seems like
it sounds like he says that every single time he goes in there.
yeah, it seems like
It's
Rand
not worth it.
Yeah, but
knows how to deal with this guy and
Wow.
just knows
Yeah.
what to say.
Yeah, but he
to,
doesn't say like, no, I just got red hair or anything like that.
Well, I think I don't want to get into this though, but like he's redirecting that's the technique he's using.
Yeah.
He's redirecting, so he doesn't want to agitate.
You don't want to argue with this person.
Yes, you don't want
which
to
is
argue
actually
with
Like,
something
someone.
you're supposed to do
Yes.
with people who have that sort of.
Like,
Yes,
yeah,
dementia
okay, sure.
and whatnot. Yes,
Yeah.
he should be redirecting and de-escalating. He shouldn't be saying. So what I'm saying is like Rand is clearly comfortable and familiar with this guy and knows how to handle him and what to say when something
seems
like this
like-
happens.
Everybody has like one person they work with, like specifically.
No,
don't-
I think he's an orderly in the inside across the board. He just is with that guy in the beginning. I think that's like his.
Because at the end he says like, "Oh, your orderly won't be coming, so I'll be working." I guess he could be
Because
working. with
that's the
multiple people.
he got the outside job.
Yeah.
That guy gets
So,
to go outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
The what was I gonna say? I want to just point out a couple of things. One, because Yasha pointed this out in one of his interviews that he felt was a really important thing for the character. So I wanted to bring mention to it here. As he's walking to work, you can see he doesn't have money, but he gives somebody who is begging, a kid who is begging, he makes sure that he gives that kid money.
Mhm.
And that people just give him food. And I thought that was really nice. It was a very like it seems like a very like we're all in this together kind of community thing. I thought that was really cool. And I think that while as the show goes on, you might find out there may be ulterior motives as to why he is working here. I do think
well,
that
we know that we
he's
figured
like-
that out at the end of the episode.
right, but I do think that it's also like he's working in a place where he can help people that like for one reason or another he feels a kinship to. And I think
Yeah.
that that's
So you think if Logain
a cool
wasn't
character
at
trait.
you think if Logain wasn't at that sanitarium, he'd still be working there?
I think that I don't know if he'd be working there, but I think that he is not working there only because Logain is at that sanitarium. That's what I would say.
You could pose it this way, right? He's been there for clearly a long time, working there for clearly a long time. He could have beat this guy up and took his job probably much earlier. So I wonder if he, like, we all saw the other scene, right? We know there's going to be a scene next episode that they had already released with a little bit of Rand and Logain interacting and talking about like it took you all this time or whatever. Like, was that because Rand was nervous? He was, wasn't sure if he could be able to confront Logain, or Tom, to your point, maybe he became comfortable working there and really liked working there and helping the people. And he was like, I'm just going to hang out here for a little while. I'll take care of that Logain thing. And there's no rush for that.
I don't know. It's funny because he has such a confident smile at the end that it did make me think like this was part of a plan. But I think
Definitely
that he
was.
more took advantage of an opportunity. Like that, like Johnny D-Bag was a D-Bag. He beat him up so bad that he's in the hospital or whatever and can't work anymore. So he's like, well, like this is fortuitous.
Yeah, I don't.
It's
At
also
the end, it
possible.
made it seem like he did it on purpose.
He
but,
did
like,
it on
doesn't-
purpose.
Oh, he
It
definitely
doesn't
did it
make
on
any
purpose.
sense that it didn't.
I don't think that
It
guy
wasn't
was
a
getting a beating
plan.
until what happened earlier in
Yeah.
the episode. I don't think that.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with, no. So this
I
guy's
don't
probably,
think Rand's plan was the day before we started watching to beat that guy up and take his job. I
Right.
think
oh,
that guy
Work.
earned himself a beating.
I think
And
that
when Rand
guy's,
beat him up, he's like, well, now I'm going to make this work for me.
I think that guy's been earning that beating for a while.
Yes.
Like this
but
wasn't
I'm
like
saying-
the first time this guy's been a jerk. I'm sure he's been a jerk
No.
the whole time. And Rand's been like, well, I'm just going to beat this guy up so he can't come in.
I don't think so.
I don't
You
think,
think-
so. I
you
think
think
Rand's
that
like, I'm
last
gonna
thing
beat
was
this
the
guy up.
The straw that
And
broke
then-
the camel's back was
I
Yeah,
didn't
'cause
mean
Rand-
to like
Yeah.
put him in like
a body
the
bag.
ICU,
Put him in
Yeah,
a body
Rand just had
bag.
to beat him up a little
punch
bit.
him up, punch him
Yeah.
a couple times. I don't think he even thought he was going to be like out of work. I don't know.
I
Yeah,
think he.
I don't know.
I think he did.
Rand he's clearly upset about what he did.
Well, because he got to use the power and he didn't intend to hurt him as bad as he did.
Right.
But I still think his intention was to beat this guy up so he couldn't come to work
But how does he know that he's going to get that job if the guy can't work?
because he's been a good employee.
Well, that's why he
there.
had. That's why he had to wait.
Yeah, he had to become
to
a good
establish
employee.
himself as a good orderly in good standing at the hospital or whatever. And then when the opportunity presented itself, when there was a big citywide party going on, and this guy got drunk and wandered into a dark alley, and coincidentally had been an asshole that morning, he beat the shit out of him and went into work the next day and got his job.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
imagine if the guy was a nice guy, he probably would have had a conversation with him and talked him into like, hey, can you switch jobs with me for a couple of days or something? Or
Why don't you call out sick for a
Call
while,
out
buddy?
sick, give him some money, call out sick. We're talking about this a long time, but I want to move on just a little bit because the whole thing's going to be
Before we move on, I have a note. Just Tom was talking about the food. It's actually my first note, and I want to make sure to get it out there. The note is fantasy tortilla.
Yeah.
That's it.
fantasy tortilla. Oh, was that the
The
food that was
Mideast?
thrown?
It's like there's a disc of food, a disc of like a bread
Roll.
disc.
Yeah.
A disco biscuit. That's all I'm gonna say. If anyone gets that reference, call me.
No.
Oh man, Celine likes it rough, huh?
Oh yeah, he chokes her.
Chokes her. We're gonna get more choking in action in this. So here's the thing, right? So we saw a clip or in the trailer of Rand choking Moraine like that.
Mm-mm.
Right, very similar.
We also get a similar scene in the cold open here of Rand standing by the window, and then Celine comes over to the window, kind of similar to that Min scene where we see Min by the window, right, in that one clip as well. So interesting there. Don't know how that's gonna work in here.
Do you think that those were fake clips for the trailer? People do that.
Bravo, Wheel of Time. If that was a fake clip
Right,
for
like
the trailer,
I'm not going to show you this new character in the trailer. I'm going to show you these scenes with characters that you know,
just don't.
and then when you see the episode, it's actually not them.
I don't know. That's bizarre to me, but
They right. The one that always jumps to my mind is the trailer for Avengers: Infinity War, right, which had the scene of like the Hulk running with everybody, and like
Right.
in the movie, he doesn't turn into the Hulk. Like that doesn't even happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a scene, the big
Yeah.
end scene in the trailer doesn't happen in the movie, and it's a misdirect. It was done on purpose to like,
okay.
not alert you to plot developments of the film.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about this relationship between Rand and Celine, right? So, he's choking her, and they're probably having a little bit of rough sex there. Then they just have like some pillow talk about how she pretends that Rand's somebody else, and that's great for her.
And he's thinking of somebody else while he's doing it with
Well,
her.
he's
Like,
trying to forget somebody else, and she's like, "That's great. You'll help me remember, and I'll help you forget." She says. I'm assuming it's Egwene, but
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
like, what is this girl? She's like, oh, I remember this guy, whatever. You remind me of him, and I think about him when I'm with you. This is great.
I don't
for
think
me.
he cares. Like it doesn't
No, I
seem
know,
like a
but
stable relationship.
There's also a non-zero chance that she's not real.
ooh,
You don't think she's a real
A
person?
non-zero chance?
Yeah, non-zero chance that none of that's happening. He's just wacky and whacking it.
Oh, you're gonna find out the whole time he's been all by himself.
Oh my god.
I don't necessarily think that's what's going to happen, but I'm not ruling it out.
Wow, I like that idea.
Yeah,
Also,
we
I
haven't
could
seen her
not-
with anyone else yet.
Yeah, she
My
hasn't interacted
subtitles
with
also
anyone.
weren't working, and I did not get any of what they were saying in
So-
bed. And I didn't hear any of it, and I didn't
So
have time to go back and try again.
So she's saying, because he's saying like he doesn't want to, he says something about not wanting to hurt her, and she says, "You can't hurt me." Like I
Because I'm
fell
not
in
real.
love once. I fell in love once,
Once?
and the man, whatever. I fell in love once. I fell in love once, and the man that I fell in love with hurt me so bad I can never be hurt again. And like you remind me of that guy, and it makes me feel good. That's what she's saying. It's total wackadoo
Yes,
stuff.
it is. Tom,
Right?
You put it
He
perfectly.
doesn't even react though. He's like, all right.
Right. He's like, yeah, what else? And then she goes, so who are you thinking about when we're doing it? Because she clearly knows that he's not there either. Like, and she's like, oh, I'm trying to forget somebody. And so that's the conversation they have. The conversation they have is like verbally establishing this is not a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
I think what she's trying to tell him, though, like in that, she's trying to say like everybody has baggage, everybody has stuff that they're going through.
Yes.
Like it's not just you; you're not alone, right? And I do appreciate her before the rough sex begins, like when he's like, "I need to be by myself,"
Oh, yeah.
and she's like, when people say that, they usually mean the exact opposite.
Oh, they
right?
need the exact opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
So
They shouldn't be alone.
she seems to, if she's real, have some
I like that idea because we haven't seen her interact with anybody else.
right. She's like, spoiler alert. She's like I'm not on the actor's name right now,
mind,
but from A Beautiful Mind,
Paul
the
Bettany.
roommate, Paul Bettany.
Oh,
Yes.
Paul Bettany got me. Ed Harris, 100%. You like from the get go, you know about Ed Harris.
Yeah.
But Paul Bettany gets you. Oh my god.
Yeah.
For those of you keeping score at home, this is the second episode of Talk Around Your Head in which we spoil the film A Beautiful Mind.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Good job, Brenda, remembering that. And we get Rand's storyline ends what Jen said, right? He fills in for Logain, for Jan, the jerk off, Johnny
Jan.
Jack. What's his name? Johnny Jackass?
Johnny Dickhead. I said. Tom
Yanni-
said Johnny D Bag.
You call him Yanni Dick D-Bag because his name's
Yanni.
Jan.
I didn't hear his
Johnny
name until
Dickhead.
I already wrote that part. I wasn't.
His
changing
name's
it.
credited as Jan, so he's Yanni
Jan.
Dickhead. Red fills in for him, goes out into the garden, and who do we see there but Logain?
So Logain has to live outside, or he's
No.
allowed to go.
No, I think
He's
he's just
allowed to
outdoor
go
privileges.
outside.
He has outdoor
He's
privileges.
got to
It's
go
just like-
outside. He's got to go
Hiding
outside and
in
fill up his invisible bowl.
It's made by the
Or,
same
I'm
people
sorry,
who pour
it's not an invisible
coffee
ball.
on
Invisible.
Law and Order.
His invisible
Just
cereal.
empty cups all the time.
The
No.
bowl's not invisible. The soup's invisible.
Okay.
Get together, Brandon. Come
Let's jump over to.
on. Before
Oh,
we
go
jump
ahead,
over,
sorry.
I will say that Logain coming out, even though I knew that Rand and Logain were going to be meeting up because I watched that scene. Logain coming out is one of 3 moments in this episode where I audibly said, "Holy shit!"
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
Because I was
That's
not
good.
expecting that so soon.
Yeah, I think a lot of stuff happened a little sooner than I thought it was going to happen in
Yeah.
this episode. A lot of stuff up front, which we thought which I think in our recaps we spread out a little bit. Where do we want to go to? We got Matt, we got the White Tower, we got I'm going to say Perrin and the Shannarans for the end because that's probably my favorite.
Yeah, let's
Moraine Lan.
we can do Moraine Land. I
All
think we talked about it a little bit during Jen's recap.
Yeah, so they are sisters. Yes, it was made clear. Jen, you were right about that. Didn't
Yes.
catch that the first time. Perrin knows about Moraine's exile from the tower.
Yeah.
How's she know
And,
that?
and Moraine didn't know that she knew.
No.
I feel like everybody knows.
Right.
Like
It was
a email blast went out or something.
But she
Yeah.
says, right, her and Adelius haven't been to the tower in a while, and she mentions
Right.
they're writing the history of the world. Sorry, Varen, but it's already been written by Mel Brooks. So how does she find out? I guess I don't know. Is this just like one of those things we'll never get an answer to? It's just like, oh, Varen knows, kind of a deal.
I think Jen is broadly correct. I think it was the fantasy equivalent of an email blast. That was a
The
big deal.
newsletter. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure
Although,
that-
yeah,
just gossip.
I do think like Maureen's reaction was surprise, and I wonder if like one of the reasons she went there was because she's like, these people will not realize that I'm in bad standing.
Yeah. Yet she kind of implies that she's going to the White Tower, and how's that going to happen if she's been exiled from it? But I guess later on we find out that I don't think she's going to the White Tower.
Maybe she wasn't. Maybe she's just gonna like meet up with Alana and then ditch Lan and then go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But
No,
now since they're here, she can Varen can go get some stuff for her.
I think, despite how unbelievably horrible she treats Lan, especially towards the end of the episode, her intent to go to the White Tower was to drop Lan off.
Yeah.
Like, I think that Alana is there to take care of Lan.
Right.
Right. So I don't think she was intended to go in. I think she went there for the purpose that she like.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
But
she's gonna,
Varen's
get rid
the
of-
one who says it, though. She's like, well, you're going to need to stop at the White Tower.
When did she say that?
In that first conversation there, when she says, I know you were exiled, she says it.
Right.
I think she says it right before she says how you get. Like I know you were exiled. So
Mhm.
At the hat when they're still at the house.
yeah, at the very beginning, the first scene with them.
Oh, all right. I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was a little confused about that. We do get confirmation that there were 3 fades that attacked, not
Right.
4.
Mhm.
So that
And
means
Maureen didn't kill one.
So that
She
means
just
Moraine
stabbed one.
didn't kill that one. So that
Oh,
Lan
okay.
kills one. And then I guess the thunderclap kills maybe the one that Moraine stabbed, and then
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Tomas kills the 3rd one. So
Right.
okay, so that cleared that up. I was a little happy about that. Varen figures out that one of the boys is the dragon, talking about jumping to conclusions. She heard about the boys too, that means, right? So now she knows that Moraine's been exiled. She knows that Moraine brought 3 boys to the White Tower, which is interesting because is she ever even in contact with Perrin in Tar Valon when in season 1? Does she ever come into contact
Moraine?
with? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he's being healed at the Yellow Aja, but he's like unconscious.
None of the boys go to the White Tower.
They're in like those like
Yes.
extraneous buildings.
They're just all in Tar Valon.
But I don't remember like Moraine and Perrin actually being in a scene together. But I guess it could be
Well,
implied.
he was
that-
unconscious when Egwene tells her
Oh,
he's
that's
about
right.
the wolf
Yeah.
and everything.
Yes. Okay.
He's sleeping.
But
He's
yeah,
not
he's out of it.
unconscious.
Okay. So Varen's got some great eyes and ears going on in Tar Valon, which makes sense, right? If she's been away from the tower, she's probably got people there who are feeding her information.
Right. She's a Brown. She's a researcher.
And then there's that whole interaction with the 2 of them about like trusting each other, and which Maureen was about to stab her.
Yeah.
Varen's like,
what do
you're
you
just
think
gonna
of,
have to
of
trust
Varen?
me.
Yeah. What do you think of Varen's like, who should I swear an oath to? Like, do you want me to promise I'm not going to betray you or him? Like, I don't know what I'm going to have to do.
And then she says there's
Right.
ways out of oaths. She says,
I don't remember exactly what. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what she said, and I forgot to pick up on it this time I watched it. But it made me think that she was hinting at like the oath she made to Swan.
I think that's 100%
Yeah.
what she was
Okay.
hinting at. I think she was kind of saying,
right.
like, you and I both know that an oath is not what you intend it to be.
Right.
there's
And-
ways out
and,
of
like,
them. Yeah.
I appreciate her, like, kind of saying, like,
So she knows about
I
the
should-
oath to Swan too.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Well, that's part of the blast.
The exile. Okay.
Part of the
She doesn't
That's
know
in the
about. She
newsletter.
doesn't know about the wedding though.
No, nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
That was a
There were-
secret whispering wedding. Nobody knows about. Nobody heard that.
Yeah. And then we get the interaction with Moraine and Lan when Moraine decides that Lan, sorry Lan, your path stops here. Go with Alana.
He took, but did you see him take the poem?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
said-
Oh yeah. He took that.
So she's
poem.
gonna get somewhere and be like, "I have this." No, she's gonna be like
No.
Jafar looking for the lamp.
I
She
think it's
doesn't
more to
have
be
it.
more like he's going to know where she's going because that's the
Based
piece
on
of
that,
information
yeah.
that's going to like help him meet back up with her again.
All right, maybe.
And he even
Yeah.
she even says like Alana, I've instructed Alana to bond
Yeah.
you by force if necessary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So,
take your
yeah,
bond by force.
What is
yeah.
that?
she doesn't have to take him.
That
but
doesn't sound
bond,
pleasant.
To bond him.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't, and that's not cool at all.
Yeah. That was sneaky.
But interestingly, like we theorized, and after watching the first episode, right, that perhaps Len didn't have his water abilities anymore. But
Yeah.
he says here, I should have sensed them, implying that he still does have water abilities, which I don't know how that would work if she were truly severed.
Yeah, this is all. I mean, I'd like to get this answered because it's driving me nuts. I mean, I thought
I think it's 100% on purpose unclear. Like I don't think it's unclear because of bad writing. I think it's unclear because you're not supposed. They don't know what happened.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just driving me nuts. I'm not saying it's frustrating,
Right.
like it's bad writing or whatever. It's just driving me nuts that they're like keep hinting on there's things on both sides of the argument that they're throwing out there, and it's frustrating me. So I hope we figure that part out.
It's funny you guys mentioned bad writing because the line I have a semi-lengthy note about this. The line "We were never equals"
Oh yeah,
is probably to date the best written line in the show.
wow.
Oh my god, it's so good. That is the most vicious
Because-
thing. Oh,
Well, here's the thing. There are exactly 2 things that sentence can mean. And how you which way you interpret it changes everything in either direction.
So you mean she could be saying like she's not equal to him? Like she's the lower
Like,
one
he's better
because of
than
the
her?
way she's
Yes.
acting.
Yes.
No.
It can mean we were never equals because I'm superior to you, or we were never equals because I kind of suck and you're great.
I'm a piece of shit. I'm treating you like a piece of shit.
I
So I mean,
am very ugly. You are very good looking.
Right.
I mean, we could get in this conversation about Aes Sedai and Warders, but I mean, the whole, at least the way I take it, and maybe other people take it differently, but even from the books, is that the Warders aren't equal to the Aes Sedai, really. They're not, and the Warders understand that and know that. They're like, we understand, we're there to protect and serve the Aes Sedai.
Their relationship is different, though. They're like
yes.
friends, and they've had a common goal. He's not just like following her around, protecting her. Like he is, but they've been working together on this.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And all of a sudden, she's like, "No, you don't know anything. I didn't even tell you half the stuff." Like, yes, you did. You're just being mean.
well, she is just being
Well,
Go
mean,
on,
right?
get, Lan, get.
She also lost her connection to politeness, apparently, in addition to the source. But
And Lan thought Rand was dead too.
yeah.
She told him at the end of the season. She
But,
said
like,
Rand's gone, and he just
he's gone.
screamed.
But yeah, I get that. And I didn't think that Lan took it for he's dead. Because Lan also shows up like literally a minute after Rand walks away. So that was also
Yeah,
another
but-
I
part.
don't
He
know
was
if
coming from
that's-
the
I don't-
opposite direction, though.
I don't know if that's true. though.
Yeah, there's
I
a
think we even
cut,
talked
and
about
then-
we even
was
talked
there a
about
cut?
that when
Is
I think in the rewatch that it's not clear how long Moraine is sitting there.
Okay.
Yeah, because she's like
After Rand
pondering
leaves.
the
Yeah, also-
coin DR.
Also, like for him, like show up, Moraine like can't channel anymore. Like, how could Rand be alive? Like, of course, if this happened to Moraine, then she says Rand's gone. Like, okay, he died. He's dead. He's like a stupid kid, and he's dead.
Yeah. I was
Like, I
surprised
lived-
though. I didn't
Rand
realize
lived and she
Lan
didn't.
thought he was dead as well. I wasn't sure about that part. So that was interesting to me at least. And a little bit eye opening. So
Also, I mean, it's so actually, Joe. Now that you pointed out, like it's been 6 months or something. It's a little surprising. Well, maybe it's not because she's really out of it. It is a little surprising that they apparently never talked about it again.
yeah.
Yeah, was that like the last conversation they ever had? That was like,
No, I
Nice.
imagine he was there for when she told the other people that,
Yeah, that's okay. That's a good point.
right? Like, because she lets everybody believe,
yeah,
right, that he's gone. Right. So I
or
think
he told them.
right. Maybe that's it. Maybe she's like,
Yeah.
let them know that
Yeah.
what
Let them
happened to
know
Rand.
what
and
I said.
Lance goes to tell them all. And he's like, "Wait, I don't know what happened. She never told me what happened. She just said he's
He
gone."
died. Right.
Anything more on this storyline before we jump to the next? We got
No,
a lot
not
to
right now.
dig into here. I'm gonna jump over to the White Tower. So how does everyone feel about the Leandra and Nynaeve parts? I did not like them much
Yeah,
at
that's
all.
probably my least favorite. I just
Uh,
is it her son?
It's her son.
It's her son.
It's all that's
'Cause-
unbelievable.
All of
What
a
are-
sudden, they just mention really quick, like, "Oh, by the way, we can live long lives."
My
Never said it
boy, she says,
before.
my boy.
My beautiful boy,
My
like
beautiful
that's
boy.
not her son. But
Yeah,
what?
that was
Why?
one
And
of-
how?
That was one of the other two holy shit.
Shit,
moments.
yeah,
Me
I love
too.
that. I love that moment. If you would have given me 50 guesses about who the
Yeah.
man that she was seeing,
Yeah.
you know, I would have
49
gone.
would have been bad and fame.
Yeah, it would have had fade a bunch of times, and the 50th one would not have been her old
Her
kid,
70-year-old son, like
right?
what?
Like,
Yeah, so
I
that makes her a much older than. Well, first of all,
At least 100. Or
she's
like
she's got to be
90.
like 90 or plus, maybe even
Yeah.
she might be like 70,
she might be
80,
she might be 80 years old.
something. So here's what I'm going to talk. Here's
Right.
here's my theory on this one, because Brendan, I'm telling you right now, this she doesn't have a son in the books. Also, Leandra's
Yeah,
younger than Maureen. She's like in her 30s in the books, so they went a whole different direction with her character. She's clearly like in her 80s maybe. So this is my theory, right? She has a conversation with, I think, Nynaeve in the first season, where she goes on this little like story, or like talking about how men think they can take things or have all the power or something, and her eyes kind of glaze over. And I had brought this up when we watched that, we talked about those episodes, that there's something from her past, something happened in her past. So I think she was raped. This is my theory, is that she was raped when she was very young, maybe like 15 or even younger. And this is her son. And I guess she had to keep it a secret. She probably had the kid before she even went to the White Tower.
Right.
But why
Is
does
that
she
kind
have
of
to keep
stuff
it a secret?
because that's not allowed. They wouldn't have let her train if she had a kid. It's looked down upon if an Aes Sedai has a child as an Aes Sedai, but if a novice came in and had a child, or an accepted came in and got a child, she would be thrown out of the tower.
Now, why they added this to the story, I have no idea. They're trying to
No
garner
idea.
some sympathy for or empathy for her. I
I
don't.
think
Well, it
that
worked.
Yeah, I think that makes her amazingly an empathetic character, and it changes her speeches about like changing the world and like doing things to help people or whatever. Like, it gives her motivations a different tinge, right? I don't think it makes her a nicer trainer, but
No, but she said to Nynaeve, like, oh, it's better to not just heal one person. And then she's like healing one person.
She's like,
Heal one
not.
person.
She's trying to
She's
and
not,
doing it
yeah.
right. Like
She's
she was
failing
like
at it, yeah.
crying afterwards because she was trying to ease his pain, not realizing that drug that she brought made it worse, right? Because she doesn't know what's wrong with him.
yeah,
She's also telling that tonight. She's also telling Nynaeve all that stuff in like, not to say she doesn't believe it, but she is to an extent almost playing a character when she's talking to Nynaeve. Like she's talking about, she's putting up, she's like effectively playing the character of basically a religious fanatic. But then when she's with the man in wherever, it's a completely different side of her.
yeah.
And the way the show presents it is that side of her is is kind of how she really is, and or at least what motivates her to be how she is at her, for lack of a better term, job.
So that's the man that she's meeting with in North Harbor.
So Moraine knows that she has a son.
Yeah.
So if I know about the man, but she said if I'm gonna tell them who he is or whatever.
Yeah.
She said something like that in the
Okay.
flashback.
She says if the other sisters found out who
Yeah.
he is or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And
Okay.
and remember we actually called out like that's a like what could it be that would be so bad? Like it's that immediately backs Leandrin down. And like we called it out as like maybe that's a little unrealistic. And now we're like, oh well, if that's her son, it's not. Like that's such a risk. Not only would she lose her position, but she could put her family at risk.
Yeah. And before that, though, like when Leandrin has that conversation that you were referring to, Brendan or Jen, about changing the course of history, and I was like total, I don't know, to me it sounded like a total bullshit conversation because she's like, oh, yellows heal people one at a time. We can prevent the sickness. And I'm like, what are you talking about, preventing the sickness? Reds don't prevent sickness. What she's just,
well,
she's
delusions
just
of
trying
You can't
to-
get sick if you're dead.
She's just trying to sway Nynaeve away from the yellows.
I know, it
Yeah.
was just
Like
a
any way
bad
possible.
argument, though, but I guess
but
to
Nynaeve
a
says she's
novice,
like
yeah.
men's channeling is not a sickness. And she's like, think about like all the hurt and pain that they can cause.
Mm.
And we stop that from happening.
Yeah, which had nothing to do with breakbone
she's not-
fever.
It's a reach.
She's not talking about healing individual ailments. She's talking about excising the sickness, capital T,
Yeah.
capital S, that she perceives men using magic
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Nynaeve
agree with
likes
that.
healing people. Well, we can heal. She's just like,
Right.
trying to, like, how do I make the Reds sound like healers? So,
But she says, right, she's like, she talks about the test to become accepted. She's like, if they come ask for you, tell them you want to do it because I'm allowed to teach accepted. So it's
haven't
like,
killed any of them
go
yet.
take your test so that way I can then teach you, which I thought was a little, she's really pushing. And we talked about this in the last episode too. Like she's really pushing Nynaeve.
Why is Nynaeve like even interested in? I guess she has to go wherever she says. If she says come with me, she has to go.
Yeah, you can't say no because you're a novice.
Yeah, she got,
It's
yeah,
annoying.
she has to obey the Aes
From the
Sedai.
beginning, Nynaeve like didn't like her, and she's still like it's annoying.
So
It is also a little weird because Nynaeve pretty openly doesn't really want to be there, but continues to follow the rules. I mean, I think she's there to keep an eye on Egwene.
Yeah.
I mean, Nynaeve does tell her, I followed you because I saw you stole that, and I assumed you were
Right.
poisoning somebody.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
She thought
it's
he
not
could
like
channel.
she suddenly likes Leandrin.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
like, I assumed you were murdering
That's
somebody,
true.
so I came to rescue that person.
As far
Right,
as why Leandrin keeps pushing, I mean, like the Reds are the most militaristic and violent group of the Aes Sedai, and Nynaeve is a living bomb of magic.
It's
Right.
funny because actually the Greens are the most militaristic
Yeah.
of the Aes Sedai. The
Well,
only
to the
problem
battle
is
lodge,
well,
we don't
but-
meet any. We really
Okay.
don't meet any of them. Which this is a problem I have with this episode. They open up the tower in episode 1, and then they shrink it back down in episode 2, and we're back to the same Aes Sedai, less Aes Sedai in this episode that we see than we did in the previous episode. And it's like, here we go, Leandrin again, Alana again. Where are the other Aes Sedai? Like, give me more.
I will tell you as the outsider perspective, as the guy who just watches the show, I don't need another green. I don't need another red. I don't need any more blues. Like maybe okay, give me a yellow with a name, fine.
What about a
There
gray
are
or a white?
there are already almost too many characters in this show.
Oh wow, we haven't
And
even
if
touched
they
the
start
surface.
adding the other green and like these 2 other reds who are supposed to have names that I'm supposed to follow and remember and give a shit about, it's too much.
They don't need to be there and have names. They could just, I mean, they don't need to have names. They could just be there in the room and maybe
Well,
say a
Red
line or
walked
two.
by Elaine, right?
Like in the last episode when there's that conversation with Sheriam and Alana, and there's a bunch of other Aes Sedai there, and one other person speaks and says a line. That's nice. Give me more of that. Give me other Aes Sedai in the room, maybe chipping in a line or two. Like it's just they opened it up and then they shrunk it back down again. Like I'm tired of.
Well,
I'm already getting tired of seeing the same
And,
like
like,
5
why-
Aes Sedai every time.
Why does Alana like have a meeting with Shiriam about?
Because they don't want to bring in any other Aes Sedai.
Well,
They
like-
don't-
they've clearly indicated in the first episode that Alana is like been given the responsibility to train these people, right? Like she's training this group of novices,
Right.
not just Nynaeve, but Nynaeve, Egwene, the other people that
it
were
seems
there.
like
right?
they're assigning. It's not like in the books where like they kind of go to classes and they meet with different Aes
Yeah.
Sedai and get taught different things. It sounds like you go there and you're assigned to an Aes Sedai and that's your teacher.
Right. And other people may teach you things, but like that's your go-to person.
Yeah.
And like to the point where like, you know, like Egwene, who doesn't have a relationship with Alana in season 1, right, is knocking on her door, asking her questions. There seems to definitely be like she's responsible for the training. She's the person who's like, Nynaeve's not ready. And Sheriam's like, look, it's a political thing, right? Leandrin's got the hall. She's got it. And you're not even gonna stay here and fight about it. Right. There are other Aes Sedai. There's less. There's like Jen said, there's one that's in the hallway that speaks to Elaine. There's the generic novice, Brendan's favorite character.
Novice
Novice
number
one.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, we get
She's
the other
back.
novice who was doing Leandra's launch
She's an
too.
accepted.
There's an accepted in here. I still think that
Yes.
they broaden the world a lot.
I would like to see some more. Aes
The
Sedai.
tower is much bigger
Yeah.
than we saw in season 1. There's secret passages. There's
Ooh.
tunnels.
I want
All
to
you
just
have to do
see
is
some more
push
Aes
the wall.
Sedai. I want
It's
more
really
Aes Sedai. Like I said, they don't even have to be like big characters.
Oh,
I just want to see them instead of just seeing the same 2-3 people have conversations constantly.
It's a TV. I mean, I understand. I think you'll get an opportunity to see more people in the background
Yeah.
of scenes and,
Yeah.
and do things. But like, they're not going to have 40 speaking parts in episode 2.
No, I
right?
got that.
They're just
I got
not.
that.
Like,
There's a
Just
bunch of other
give me-
Aes Sedai we haven't
give me
seen
5 speaking parts of Aes Sedai
that are in the, we know are in the show. So
right.
Yeah. That conversation that you're talking about with Alana and Sheriam, I was like, why are her warders talking to Sheriam about like
Yeah.
who's ready for a accepted
because
test?
they're her
I was
friends.
like, shut up. And I'm glad, like, I know it was on purpose because Sheriam makes comment that she left her water out, outside because it's a
Yeah.
conversation between sisters. And then at the end, she makes that comment about, too bad, you only have one voice, not 3, referring to like your waters
Right.
your waters.
Is that what she?
opinions
Oh,
Yes.
I see. I had no idea.
she
what
was saying your
trying to
waters
say.
don't have a say in
You're
any
in
of
the-
this.
Yeah.
So
Right.
she was like
Okay, I
politely
get it.
saying, but I was a little upset. I was like, why are her warders there talking to the Aes Sedai about who's ready for an accepted test? I was like, shut up, Yvonne. Shut up, Max. And Maxim even interrupts Sheriam when she's talking. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like,
thought it was great though that I'll never remember which one was which, so don't bother telling me. Maxim / Yvonne, Shiriam said she's the most powerful channeler we've seen in 1,000 years. And he's like, yeah, everyone keeps saying that because almost every time Nynaeve is mentioned, someone says it.
Yeah.
Like even up to and including like when she's in the scene, standing right there. It's
a little weird. I think there's two reasons for that. One, I think they're great characters, they're fun, and I think they just wanted them on screen more. But two, it's definitely, I think, to kind of show you the contrast between a very, very healthy Aes Sedai water relationship and one that is right now not going so well.
I would also say
too healthy.
I will also this goes more to my get rid of her warders in that meeting and bring in some other Aes Sedai in that meeting instead of the her warders.
But these are people. Yeah, sorry.
Like as someone who has no other context but the show, I know who, even though I just said I don't know which one is which, I know who Maxim and Yvonne are.
Yeah.
If there's two jumped up extras in green dresses, I don't give a shit.
Bring in the other Aes Sedai from the last episode, the bald one who talked about the dragon. You could bring in one.
She's not on. She's on the other side.
That's true. She's with
right. And I think that's the other thing is like, and I think I think that in a way it's a little bit intentional, right? Like Alana says in season 1, while you've been away, Leandrin has been like politicking, and she's got a large number of sisters who are behind her, just the decisions that she makes. Alana's operating alone now. She was begging for Moraine to stay and help fight this fight. She doesn't have a lot of allies, and I think Alana's kind of saying like,
allies. We haven't seen anybody else.
I thought we were on the same page, and now you're not even on the same page as me, right? So I think that is. I think the lack of other Aes Sedai support is intentional, as much as it is like these are characters that we know who have a relationship and are invested in Nynaeve as a person, and Alana has a relationship with them as warders that they're allowed to speak freely.
I will ask this question, Brendan, and I don't know if we ever talked about it before, so it might not work. But how many Aes Sedai do you think there are? Just by gauging from watching the show.
Oh my God, I don't know. Like 100? I don't know. I have no idea. I until right now, I never gave it any thought.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know. I think I rest my case.
I can tell from context clues that there should be more.
Yes, there definitely should be more. I agree.
But
right. Well, and I will say they say it directly in the show, right? Like there should be more here.
There should be more novices. Yeah.
Right.
Less novices. Do you want to talk about Elaine?
We have to keep moving forward here.
I know. That's why I want. I know. Let's talk about Elaine. How awesome is Elaine? I love Kira Coveney's portrayal of Elaine. Rafe was right. She is Elaine.
Yes.
I think she's spot on how I kind of pictured Elaine acting. So she was a bit snooty, but very considerate. She's very aware of what's going on and like adjusts the way she's acting appropriately very quickly. You notice like when she realizes that Egwene that's her room and she's been there a while, she kind of diverts and says, "Oh, this is pretty stitching," and and then she pretends that she's never been in the tower just so she could spend time with Egwene, and then also like with the whole scene with Sheriam, she takes the fall for somebody else because she doesn't want to rat on anybody else, and she quickly changes her attitude, the way she talks to Sheriam appropriately. She's very good at that. I like that a lot. I thought that was really cool. And she's gonna get switched.
I think awesome. I do think they worked overtime to give her a lot of character traits in this first episode, like that she what her natural personality is, that she's the daughter, that she is good with people, and that she's noble and self-sacrificing, and she won't like let people take the fall for her, and that she's also really good with the power and tinkers, and that she doesn't have any friends, and that she doesn't there's a lot of these are things about Elaine. And I feel like
is Elaine equal? Do we learn the same amount?
I didn't feel overwhelmed by it though. I felt like
No,
they wrote it in
They
there
did
really
a good
well.
job, I think, of putting it in. It did feel like when she makes the alcoholic beverage and shares it with her and is like, well, I like to tinker with the power and experiment and figure out things. I'm like, we could have found that out in episode 3. Like, we didn't have to get every piece of information about her.
I like the call to Lane likes to drink sometimes.
That's just,
Yeah.
but
maybe
I
that-
did think
maybe that's,
I thought her performance was really good and engaging, and I think it's difficult to introduce a new character that you really want people to like and succeed at that. Like, and I think she did a good enough job of completely botching meeting Egwene and still getting Egwene to like her by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
This is going back since well before the show started, well before this show started. Just hearing you guys talk about the books, it will never stop being funny to me that the characters in this book are either named Randall Thor or Moraine Damodred or Matna Lane.
It's Matrim.
Like,
Matrim.
whatever, man. Come on, it's Matna Lane. I don't give a shit that this is a Y. Like, it's just funny. I just
Right.
find it very funny.
Yeah.
It's why it's believable that there's a character named Steve somewhere out there.
Right.
He's
Right.
there.
It's like here's
Yeah,
Lan Mandragoran, and here's Tom.
Right. And Len, and
There's
even,
Tom-
even
Tom.
Len,
It's Tom
e-
Drill.
Even Len,
Tom Drill.
His name is
even
Tom
Len,
Drill.
it turns out his real name is Alan.
Yeah, Alan.
Like-
Alan. Yeah.
Alan.
Alan. All right. Anything else in the White Tower you wanted to talk about? Like with the Aes Sedai stuff? Or we'll continue.
I think it's interesting that Shiriam has an office and a study.
Yeah, that's weird. I thought so too. Like it's
The study is for beating people.
No, the office is
No,
for meeting
the
people.
office
The study
is-
is for
Oh,
the study is where she wants
Study
Nynaeve
is for
to
studying.
meet her.
I wonder if that
Oh.
was like a mistake.
Yeah.
It jumped out at me because she said office,
Office is
and
it's a weird word.
and it's another one of those things where it's not, but it kind of feels like a weird anachronism. And then like a second later, she's like, and then send Nynaeve to my study, and I'm like, well, which is it? Or do you have two?
Yeah, that's I didn't catch
she's
that.
the mistress of novices. She's got a big layout there.
That's
I do
it's
think that
important
there's
role in the
a
tower.
particular room that you go into and the doors close, and that's where we do the switching. I did appreciate. So there's a thing. Whatever, this isn't like book spoilers. There's a thing where there's a lot of spanking in the books, just switching people's butts. And I was glad that they changed it to you'll be switched on the
Yes.
shoulders.
Oh,
was
I
like,
didn't
that's
catch
fine.
that. I just heard switching
Yes.
and I got excited,
That
I
was
guess.
very
and-
specific.
Yeah, it was very specific.
Phrasing, Joe.
Yeah, I heard you cheer when I read the part about the
Yes.
switching, and I was like, he definitely did. He definitely thinks she's getting spanked. He didn't realize.
Listen, you all know this. I want to say one more comment on the spanking though.
I just and I guess we're kind of moving on from it, but just one last thing. Like Jen pointed out in her recap that like this happens in every story where someone hears half of a conversation at a door.
Yeah.
And you guys are too old for this shit. Like, come on. I know in the book they're kids, but
But I
they're
feel like
not kids in the
Nynaeve
show.
They're
of
not
last
much-
season would have like busted in the door and been like, even like, how dare you, instead of just like sadly walking away.
Well, it's a very different dynamic in the this none of this happens in the book. So
I know.
that's
It's not this.
Like
I
Egwene
would say
says
that-
she's my best. Did she say she's my best friend?
Yeah.
yeah. she
Like
doesn't-
they're
like-
not best friends.
Well,
Not
Nynaeve-
yet.
I mean,
the-
she's-
Egwene's not Nynaeve's best friend,
No,
but
but,
Nynaeve is
like,
Egwene's
they're
best
not-
friend.
They were. They become friends like over the course
Yes,
of the books,
but-
but right now in the story, I don't think. I
They've
think
been together
they're
for
still-
a year, traveling on the road.
I know, but
they've been in the tower for
Well,
5
they were
months
separated for a
training.
while.
So
I don't know.
But also, all of Egwene's other friends are either presumed dead or missing. So,
Right.
she hasn't made
That's what I'm
any
saying, like-
friends in the tower in 5 months, clearly, because there's
Right.
nobody else that she
Novice
talks
number
to.
one.
She seems to get along with Exposition Blonde just fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's novice number one.
Oh, that's,
So,
Who again
I-
in this episode answered a question about what was going on and left the scene.
she's
that's
done
a-
her
that's a good-
job.
that's a
That's
good
all I
role.
asked for. I asked
I-
for give me an Aes Sedai who does that every once in a while.
So I will say that I don't think. while it was kind of cliched, like listening at the door, I don't think Nynaeve misunderstood what she was hearing.
No,
I think she just
No.
heard the conversation exactly as the conversation was and was like, oh, I guess I can't talk to her about how I'm feeling right now. Let me leave. Because she came in going like, I can't cope with this. And then what she hears is like, okay, well, she can't hear that from me because she can't cope with me. Like, that's not like, she didn't misunderstand it. She just heard it and was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm doing this on my own right now.
All right, so let's move into another location in the White Tower. Matt. Oh, sorry, Tom. You got something else?
Yeah, Brendan, what'd you think of the secret room with the things?
Secret passage.
What do you think of the whole end of Nynaeve's storyline to be with like the accepted test?
Was that the scene? Was that the room from the Jordan Con footage? Or
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the room.
So all you people who were yelling about accepted test, so much so that the words lost all meaning to me. We're right. Good for you.
Yeah, Tom was right. Sorry. And yeah, it looks like we're going to see what this test is all about in episode 3. So we'll talk more about that next time. But let's move to another location in the White Tower. We've got Matt. We get the scene that we all saw at New York Comic Con. Leandrin bringing him the sweet cakes. Is it me, or is this is a weird scene here because it's very different than the first scene we get between Matt and Leandrin in episode 1.
Yeah.
So different, as it's almost like, wait a second, did that other scene even happen? Like, it's just so weird. And the tone is very different. And he decides to ask her, like, after being there for like 6 months or whatever it is, what she wants from him.
But he asked that in the first episode too.
Did he say it again?
That I haven't touched a dagger in 6 months. What do you want? What do you want from me, or something like that?
Okay.
And she was just like, whatever. She ignored him and left.
She just gave him the same answer.
He was so depressed and like down, and then
I think
it was because she was reading
She
a
was
letter.
actively
she's
trying
reading
to
a
make
letter
him
about how your friends that don't like
I know,
you.
but
Yes.
like we all thought that was going to be like Matt's opening scene.
But
This one.
Yeah, she does it again where she says, we're just making sure that you're okay from the dagger. Like, has he asked this question 100 times before and she given him the same answer?
Yes.
I don't.
Yeah, she's the only person he's spoken to in the last X number of months.
It'd be nice if he said, "Oh, I've heard that story before," or something, just to indicate that like he's been going on it for a while.
Think that anybody else knows he's there?
That was a question I had there, because it sounds like the way she made it sound like was that other people know he's there.
Right. The message went to the Red Aja, so like I would think that, but then I'm like, I'm not sure.
Well,
Well,
I'm sure
all the other
people-
Reds who just left the room before the scene started know he's there.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm sure there are other people who know he's there, but not everybody probably knows he's there.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Like
As-
Wayne and Nynaeve don't know.
No.
As far as why he's asking that question, like I personally have never been held prisoner for 6 months and only been allowed to talk to one person. But I imagine I would ask that question after the first day, second day, first week, second week,
Yeah.
third week, fourth week, second month.
I know,
Like,
but they
that's
didn't-
going to keep coming up.
no, I have no
Is
problem.
there a thing I could
asking it.
do?
Yeah.
It's not that
Not
What do
be
you
here?
Who do you need me to sell out?
I don't think
Well,
it's the fact that he
I
asked
can
the
give you.
question.
I can give you Tom Picosa.
It's almost
Thanks,
like
man.
though, like it was the first time he asked it, and like there was no indication, like her saying again, Matt, are we gonna go through this again? Like it was just, it was like almost
so-
like a fresh question and a fresh answer
So
to
take
me.
it easy on Leandrin. She's got a lot on her mind.
All right.
It's,
Yeah,
God.
I do think judging from what I know of Leandrin and the fact that like she is somebody who plays a lot of political games and things of that nature, that it is a definite like conscious choice for her to do a follow-up visit after being excessively cruel with here's a gift, I'm very nice to you."
That's right out of the
Right?
out of the torturer's playbook.
Right.
When they,
So I think that there's
when they're
a
You have a
Brainwashed.
copy of that?
Oh yeah, you ever watch those? You ever watch
The
Homeland?
torturous playbook.
You ever
No.
watch Homeland? That's what like. So, this is what people do when they're like terrorists or somebody like that are indoctrinating people, right? They capture them and then they do that back and forth. Like one person will come in and torture them, and then another person comes in and like acts all nice to them, and then they do that to kind of break somebody down and then build up the trust, and then they wind up forming trust. But she's doing it all by herself, so I don't know how that works. She's playing both parts by herself. So
Well, it's not working.
Yeah.
It's not working.
she
on
doesn't know about
That's
it.
the other thing.
Maybe if there was another Red Eyes to Die in there that could do it with her, it would work.
The bit where like she leaves and Matt pantomimes the
Yes.
doors,
Yeah.
like the locking of the doors and then walking away. It was really well done because it was simultaneously like a good bit of fun Matt smart ass business, and also raises the question like, is Matt losing it again?
Well, I think it's also like a testament to how long he's been in there and how many times
Yeah.
she's come in that room.
Oh
Right?
yeah,
He
yeah,
knows.
definitely.
Yeah, I thought of it as like a good sense of like his attitude immediately changes when the door closes,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And like how much of what he's showing when she's in the room is what he's really feeling is now also in play. Like how much is he putting on a show for her?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think he cries though in that
No,
first
I think it's
episode,
a real. I'm not saying
yeah,
he's not
when
upset.
she leaves, he's still crying. Like he
Right.
leans his head on the thing and then continues to cry. So,
but
he does get.
yeah,
through
I
the
love the
wall.
But he
fact
also
that he-
then immediately starts digging himself out. Like
Right.
he
He-
gets it together very quickly.
Yes.
I do love the fact that he's got her clocked. Like
Right.
he knows how many, like these are the locks, this is the order it does, this is how many steps till she turns down the hall or whatever.
So can we get to his getting through the wall finally, and then we learn that it's another room just like his, but somebody's in there. It's Min. Yeah.
Remember her?
Yeah, remember her.
That was the final holy shit out loud moment. I was not expecting that at all.
I was
Neither were
expecting
we.
it just because I saw, I think in the upcoming thing it showed that scene.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So she helps them dig. They break through they remove some of the stones between the wall. They have a drink together. We learn that she wasn't originally going to Tarvalon when she left Faldara, but her ship got diverted. So she said, "What the hell?" And then she got spotted by a red that recognized her. Is this Leandrin?
I would imagine
Yep.
so.
Really?
It's got to be Leandrin. That's the only other person.
There's 3 other Reds we met.
No, they don't
Lish.
exist.
They don't have names.
They're just
Exist.
they're just mannequins. So she gets taken to the White Tower because of her ability. I like that Matt does not want her to read him and tell him anything about what she sees about him. I thought that was kind of cool. And
I
different.
mean, Matt's been having a real hard time with it, and I don't think he needs any more.
He did say unless it's how I'm going to get out of here.
Right.
I do like the fact that he's just like, all me knowing what my possible future has done for me is fuck up my life.
Mhm.
Like, I don't want to know any of that stuff. Like, I don't have any control over it. It's not helpful. So I really like that choice of his. I like the attitude. I like that whole like that's the first time that anyone's ever found out what she did and didn't want it. And then she saw what he's gonna do, and I'm like, what the F?
He's gonna stab Rand with the ruby hilted dagger.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's not cool.
I don't know. We'll probably have to talk a little bit more about that in our spoiler part because yeah, don't get it. Anything else in the Matt story before we jump to the Perrin loyal Shanarans?
Both Min and Rand's haircuts require electricity, and it really bothers me.
Not if they were shaved to the skin with a straight razor and they've just grown out of it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
All right, so
Sure.
let's jump over. We've got Perrin, Loyal, the Shanarans, and Elias. Elias is doing his sniffing thing. He's not tracking like an Aragorn would. So they come to this manor house that looks abandoned. Perrin sees a woman at the window. I saw a woman at the window. I tried
It's
to.
a manor house?
I call it a manor house because it looked like a big
Okay.
house.
Yeah, it's like a
Okay.
manor.
I said town. I wasn't paying enough attention.
I don't think it was a whole town.
Townhouses are narrow.
Okay.
No, she just thought it
I
was
mean,
a
a
town.
townhouse.
Oh.
I mean, like, I just thought it was I didn't realize it was just like one house there.
It might have been like a farmhouse or a
Okay.
small manor house or whatever.
All right.
Yeah.
Before they go into the house, they say like, "Let's split up," and guys leave, and the other 8 go. Like they split up very unevenly. It's just jumped out at me.
Those are the guys who who don't have any lines or whatever. Those are the extras. All right, extras, you go that way. People
Extraneous
are speaking-
Shinarans.
Right now, I think you have 5, including Loyal and Perrin. 5 members of this party have spoken lines,
Yeah.
and Massima, I think, has
Yes.
had like 2.
Has
Yes.
Massima's name ever been mentioned?
No.
I
Because
don't
I don't know
know.
who he is.
He's the
He's
other
the
guy
other
that's not
guy.
Uno or Ingtar.
He's
I
got he's like
figured.
super
One who found
jacked
him.
arms.
In the last episode,
Um,
he's the one when they come upon all the carnage. He says like, the shelter in the palm of the creator or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
He like mumbles it to himself.
And
He's,
then,
I will say,
He's really, really good at killing people.
yes,
at the end
Brendan.
of this
He's
episode.
the
Yes.
guy who fights topless at the end of the episode.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, I
so
put
we'll-
that together. But
okay.
until Jen mentioned his name, I didn't know his name.
Yeah.
So I don't think they've ever said it.
So what about this person Perrin sees, right? Because it's funny, they show the shot of that same window, like it's in the shot twice and it's closed. Then they go to it again. It's clearly open a little bit and there's a person in there and it closes. Is this Perrin seeing a vision?
It's weird because the show is usually pretty good about showing his eyes turning yellow when he's having a vision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But he does have visions when he goes in, right? He sees all of that stuff. And Elias makes a comment. He implies it's better when you can separate the visions from reality,
Mm-hmm.
or like know how to do that. I think he was kind of implying that he sees those too and can, is better at distinguishing it. But we didn't get any of like, there's no like interaction except for Elias making a comment here and there and Perrin kind of like looking at him like he's crazy and stay away from me.
And Perrin assuming that this is something Elias is doing to him, even though this has
Yeah.
been happening since well before he met Elias.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe not the visions.
The visions happen.
couldn't
I think
say
he's
that.
like, yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
some jacking up my wolfiness.
Who or what nailed that fade or that merge roll to the door?
Tom Maryland, baby.
Oh,
Oh man, that would be awesome.
yes.
I hope that's true.
I like that. They go to my favorite music when they arrive at that village.
Oh yeah, that music's great.
That's my favorite music.
I
from
never
the-
pick up on stuff like that, but that music was really good.
Yeah, I like that. That's in the first season too.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not called Big Fish?
No, lionfish. How freaking weird.
Yeah.
With that lionfish. I was like, is that a dragon? And then like they mentioned, I was like, oh wow, that's so cool. I'm glad they made a cool fake fish for the show.
Tastes better than it smells.
That's
Uh,
that sounded
Well, they
sarcastic,
couldn't
but I
have more
wasn't.
Aes Sedai. They blew all their Aes Sedai budget on the fish.
Yes, they had to fire a couple of Aes Sedai to make that fish. No Aes Sedai were harmed in the making of this lionfish. Yeah,
so I will say that there's one line. I've been very, very, really very happy with the writing the entire time so far. But Elias saying they are not your pack was a
Yeah.
little too on the nose for me.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a little bit.
Yes.
It was a little bit too. It's a little. I'm not being exact. It's just a little bit too much for me.
yeah.
Like if it was dialed back a notch somehow.
Turn it down
like-
a notch.
Well, it's kind of like it's kind of like in the first season where Moraine says something about how like it's not like you listening to the wind, it's the wind listening to you.
Oh, I
We
like
were talking
that
about how that's kind well, we were talking at the time about how that's kind of cheesy, but it's a sales pitch.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
he's trying to convince him of something.
yeah.
So
do we know too that Elias is not involved in everything that went down? Right, he was not there because he didn't
Was-
sleep in the town.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
he's
So
still out there.
oh yeah.
yeah. So Elias was not part of the impending attack, right? Perrin sleeping. So this is, I have to say this, right? So the Shanshin attack, right? Perrin is sleeping in full clothes, gets dragged out of his bed by Shanshin.
Perrin like takes his clothes off when he goes to sleep in a strange place.
I clearly not. What do I think? He doesn't.
Well,
I know,
will-
but I'm saying
but-
like
But
I
I will
wanna
say that is something that Perrin does very often in the books. Is he sleeps in his clothes?
But here's my favorite part about this, right? The contrast that they do, right? Perrin sleeping fully clothed in his bed, gets dragged out into the bigger room. You see Massima topless, half naked, killing Shinarans. Kills
Shaun Chen.
Sean Chen kills a bunch of guys. Perrin gets dragged outside. After I guess Massima's done killing the guys inside, must get dressed because then he comes outside fully clothed and then kills more guys outside.
I think it's just a shirt. He just throws a shirt on. 'cause
All
he's still,
while
like,
Perrin's being
sleeveless.
dragged through the town just to add how awesome Mishima is.
Shima is very good at killing people.
Doesn't
so is-
Perrin have like really good hearing too?
No, I guess not when he's
Not
asleep.
yet.
He does.
His wolf powers come and go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I do like that. Like, Perrin's not really good at this, but he's still so just massively strong that being dragged on the ground, he could pick up just a 2x4 and beat guys hard enough
He becomes
to let
Hacksaw
him
Jim
go.
Duggan.
Yeah, he's just like
And then he
Think
runs
about-
at the guy. He launches himself at the guys who are going after Loyal, right?
yeah, he does, and that allows Loyal to just
Loyal.
wreak havoc.
Oh
Just
my
like
God.
tossing guys all over the place.
He like explodes a guy's head, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he spears one guy,
Yeah.
throws him like a spear into a wall, just crushes his skull.
Just
Dude,
roaring is like,
yeah.
oh my God.
It was great, and I love the fact that, like, if the Damane and Sodom didn't show up, like, it looked like the Shinaras were gonna win that fight.
Even though there's
Like-
only like 4 or 5 of them, it seems
Yeah,
like
well-
they
They
were.
were wrecking those people.
They were. They were destroying the Shanshan.
Yeah, and then
The whole,
It should be like they're like all it's like having 4 lands there or whatever. Like
well,
3
they're not
lands.
like,
Not
he's
as
supposed
good
to be
as
the
land,
best of
but
them.
like
right.
they're
They're
good.
yeah, they're really good.
They're
Yeah,
not just like soldiers. They're like all
And-
really good soldiers.
and I did like before, and like Ingtar recognized like it was too late, but he did recognize like, oh shit, this I think I know what's gonna happen right now, and then it just got
Oh
blasted.
yeah, he says everyone get out, like get down or
Yeah.
whatever.
the whole scene starts off with like very weird, almost slapstick physical comedy.
Oh, he's
from
like hitting his
Perrin,
head on the
'cause he's-
stairs.
Yeah.
It's like he's getting dragged out. He doesn't know what's going on, and like even I, who had been very vocal about not really thinking much of Perrin, felt like it's like, oh, this is being a little rough on him. He deserves a little better than to be the like butt of the joke at the 30-second start of the big fight scene.
Yeah. Now we know what he was Marcus was talking about that scene. He said in episode 2 where he's fighting, there's a fight scene and he gets wet. He said he's good.
Right.
That's because he's fighting the guys in the water. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
He
think,
also keeps punching guys in the helmet, which is a dumb
Yes,
move.
yes,
Yeah,
but
yes.
whatever.
but he, again,
It
he's
works.
so strong, it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, because
Like,
Ingtar goes, "Where's Loyal?" He looks and sees Loyal and says, "I'm gonna go help." Instead of like picking up a weapon, he just runs at guys and like launches himself at the Shanshan, like tries to
Well,
like
he's still
knock
very,
them
like,
over.
He's still very conflicted about violence.
and
No,
not
he
only
has a
that,
sword though. He pulls out a sword.
He has a sword. I will say this: when in the scene earlier in the episode when they
Yeah.
go into the room and he pulls out the sword,
Yes.
he pulls out that sword, and it's very clear he doesn't know how to use it very well.
Oh, I know.
Like, it's very unsteady and stuff. And I think, like, you know, in terms of chaos, in times of chaos, like, you're gonna fall back on what you're comfortable doing.
Mhm.
And he's comfortable using his mitts.
He also probably didn't have it. He had the sword on his belt.
Oh no,
That was
yeah, it was
probably
probably
later
back
on.
in the
Dragged
room
out
with
of
his
bed.
stuff.
He
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
took his sword belt off, honestly,
Um,
at least.
They were probably
Yeah.
dead. There were dead bodies all over the place. There was plenty of swords or weapons to pick up, but
I want to just say before we move on plot wise, the next thing, this was a really, I know it was dark, whatever. This I thought was a really good fight scene.
it
I
was
thought
awesome.
very
I love this
clear.
scene.
Yeah.
Like one of the complaints that we had after the first episode was that the fight scenes were chaotic and you couldn't really follow what was happening or where people were or what the geography was. This was done very, very well. You got a sense of where everybody was in relationship to each other. The fight was clear. You knew who was fighting who, what was going on. People, and then like the choreography was very like well
Yeah.
done. I thought it was a really well structured thing, and I was very, very happy because this is only episode 2,
Yes, yes.
right? And which means like there's going to be much better fight scenes later on in the season.
So the gagged, right? The ball gagged Shanshan women come and blast them with the one power. I love how the scene starts basically with Perrin getting dragged out of bed, and then when sun comes up, Perrin's getting dragged again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I love
But
how that
Uno's
they
not
bookended that.
dead.
Uno
Yes.
is clearly not dead. He's
Not
knocked
dead.
unconscious. He's breathing though, so good.
Yeah.
Good for Uno.
But
it's-
the scene that we
far.
the still image that we saw hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, this
yeah, it
has.
is. Yeah, it is.
That's when they're walking up. Like right when
He's
they get there.
dragged with someone pointing something at his head.
No,
Oh,
oh
that
no, that
part we
part
haven't
didn't
seen
happen.
yet. But he's
Yeah.
awake
Yes.
for that.
That's
So
my point.
the
So
part of
the
us
part that we thought might kill him
didn't.
Didn't, but
isn't
it's still-
happened yet.
There's still a chance.
But
it
he's
No.
not
does.
dead in the scene that we thought he was already dead in.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought that scene happened
Before,
before the
right.
laying on the ground dead. It didn't.
Right.
So he's
Right.
not dead so far as we know.
I think he's making it.
So, and I was a little happy, right? So, right, that giant palanquin shows up, and Ishamael's there with the fingernail lady. She asks, "Are they ready?" I have no idea what they're ready. I have no idea what that means.
Mm.
But Ishamael looks and sees Perrin and recognizes him. I don't know where that's going to go, though.
But that's what prompts him to say, like, they I can't remember the exact line.
They
It's
have
terrible.
to be.
They'll have to be, right?
Yeah.
Like, he sees Perrin and laughs. Like, he almost laughs to himself with glee.
Yeah.
He's like, they'll have to be.
So
right?
that was a complaint we
Yeah.
had about when we saw that thing. Like, how does he not recognize Perrin? But he clearly recognizes Perrin. So we'll find out next episode. Where that goes.
I think I know the answer to this. Perrin has never seen his actual face.
I don't
No, he
think so.
hasn't. He's only
Unless
seen him as-
Perrin's been having dreams that we don't know about after the fact.
Yeah.
He hasn't seen his face.
He's only seen him as the flaming guy,
Yeah.
flame
Mhm.
face.
Mr. Mysterioso.
Yeah. So last week's predictions. Let's find out. Did we get any of them right? Tom, you said, what was your prediction?
That both of the scenes we saw at New York Comic Con would be in this episode.
They were. That was the Elaine scene with the Egwene, and
remember
then
what
the
my
Matt and
prediction
Landry was. My prediction
Oh,
was
I know what it was.
that. Oh God, I forgot what my prediction was. Was it that Lan and Moraine were going to split up?
That was my prediction, episode 1. I don't know if
I think I might have said that. Damn it, I had it and I didn't write it down, and I was just thinking about it.
Too bad
before.
we didn't like record it and put it on the internet.
I know. Too bad we didn't. We should probably write these down. Brendan, do you remember what yours was?
Mine was way off. I
Oh.
predicted that the whole episode or most of the episode was going to be about Ren. And without getting into like actual screen time questions, that was not the case.
Mine
Yeah.
was that Elias was going to talk to Perrin about being a wolf brother. That didn't
Oh.
happen.
That's right.
yeah,
He talked to him
Talked to
very
Adam.
obliquely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
they didn't have a conversation about
The conversation.
explaining.
About
Perrin
the-
don't want to hear that.
The
Yeah.
birds and the bees and the wolves.
No.
Yeah. So I would say,
a watchtower, a wolf tower. There we go. I got there.
do we want to do next episode predictions or do our ratings first?
Four ratings. Finish
okay.
up this one and then do the next
All right.
episode predictions.
Ratings. I'll go first. I'm going to give this one a 3. I did not think it was as good as the episode before it. There were, I think I mentioned my issues. The Moraine and Lan stuff, it just kind of dragged a bit. Like it felt like they just kept going back to the same conversations or same things that were happening in the first episode. It just didn't seem like it progressed much, except the fact that she's leaving again. And obviously I felt like the White Tower shrunk back down a little bit after they opened it up in the first. And then like the whole Leandrin and Nynaeve stuff was just, I don't know. I wasn't enjoying it as much. I think you said it, Brendan, that there's a lot of stuff happens, but it doesn't feel like anything happens or like nothing.
There's a lot going on, but not much happens.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. So I'm giving it a 3.
Okay.
Right. I'll go next. I really like the episode. It had more action than I would think an episode 2 of a show would have, just with the battle at the end. But I think that episode 2s are more like, okay, we established where we are, and now we're going to like do like story development basically for the rest of the season. So I was expecting it to be a little bit of a slower pace thing walking in. I think that I'm really surprised in a very happy way about how much better the writing and editing seem in this season than the season prior.
Yeah.
I think the performances are really, really, really strong across the board. I'm going to give this another 4.
Well,
I'm
Okay.
going to give it a 3.25. I still liked it. I liked it a little less than the first episode. It did drag a little bit at some points. But the end was really good. So, or whatever. The end was good, but I mean the fight was good. So I'll go with a 3.25.
Okay. I'm actually going to go with the same score as last week at 4.5.
Wow.
I thought the episode was really good. I think what they're doing with Rand is very interesting because he's gone from being a very generic hero's journey fantasy guy to being sort of, while still being that, he's in this like weird, almost hard-boiled crime fiction town where he's sneaking around and beating people up, and I mean I even like the parent storyline, so they're doing something right.
That's it, man.
All right.
I will say I think that this season so far of this show is the kind of season that I would watch this show if I hadn't read books. Like it's much more to me an engaging piece of television.
I would like to add too, like I feel like this episode was definitely set up, right? Because it ends with Nynaeve about, it looks like she's going to take her accepted test, and then also like the Sean Chin people come, and you're like, what's going to happen with that?
You have Rand and Logain.
Yeah.
Yes, right. So I feel like it's definitely a lot of setup. So maybe that's kind of why, like you said, Tom, it kind of purposely is the way it is. So I have a feeling though that next episode is going to be really good, and I think it's going to be the best episode of the first three. Just because I feel like they were setting everything up for us to get into like some really good, meaty, like you said, we're getting to the outer core, I think, next episode potentially. So all right, so predictions for the next episode. Anyone have? I feel like we already know a bunch of stuff that's already going to happen in the next episode, so I don't know what kind of predictions we can throw.
I'm going to write these down this time.
Okay.
I'm
going to predict that I'm going to predict Jen's prediction that Perrin and Elias have a conversation, like they start getting into like wolf brother type conversation. Like he finally, decides I want to talk to Elias and find out what the hell's going on.
It's a bold choice to make that prediction when the current episode ends with only one of them getting captured.
Oh, I have a prediction.
Go ahead.
Bane. Sorry.
We will see the White Cloak in episode 3.
Ooh, White Cloaks in episode 3.
Okay.
It's funny because I was going to say the same thing, but I don't know if that's the case anymore. So I'm going to say something is going to happen during Nynaeve's acceptance test that is going to allow Matt to get out of his room.
Ooh.
Oh. Okay. Oh, that was my prediction, that Matt escapes. That was my prediction for this episode. Matt escapes. Like he kind of escaped, but not really.
No, he didn't. He stayed in the same room the entire time.
That's true. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. Min escaped.
Yeah, Min escaped. They made their cell twice the size.
Yeah.
All right, Brendan here.
I mean, I said at the top of the show, I predict that the next episode is going to be entirely silent and in black and white with title cards for the dialogue, like an old time movie.
Okay,
love it.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck should I know? I don't know anything.
Well, we don't either.
No, I said none of the things
that is happening.
No, yeah, everything that I'm predicting are things that are not like book things. They're things that I think.
All of my predictions will be jokes. I'm just getting it.
Okay,
that's
fine.
I'm not taking that part serious.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Brendan, thank you once again for coming. We'll have you back real soon to discuss the best episode of the first 3 episodes.
This
fingers crossed.
This
Live on
time
YouTube.
I will. That's right. This time I will leave the call before stopping the recording, as opposed to just stopping the recording before leaving the call and making it really awkward, like I did last time.
Sure. Have a
All right,
good
man.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye, Brendan.
See you soon.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye. God damn it.
Oh boy, it's a long episode, guys. Woo,
All
what do we have to
right.
talk about?
Some
Sorry,
spoilers.
wait, no.
What?
Did you do it?
I played it already. You were talking over it.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Sorry. Okay, let's move on.
Okay, I have a couple of things here.
Okay.
Voices that I mentioned in the cold open. I think that was Lanfear.
It didn't sound like a woman.
It
I think
kind of sounded like it was a woman mixed with a man's voice.
Yeah, I think Lanfear's also messing with him.
Okay.
But I also do think that was Ishii voice. I don't think it was Lou Theriot.
I think here's my prediction. I think Lanfear was using compulsion on Rand.
To make him keep sleeping with her?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think so. And that's why he's hearing that's why he hears that voice, because she's got it's the compulsion.
Ooh, I like that.
That's a theory. Just throwing it out there. Potential
Okay.
I
theory.
like that.
Varen talking about prophecy. She says, this prophecy's of Toman Head, a battle in the sky.
Battle in the sky.
Is
I
that
see a battle on the sandbar.
sword
and-
of
and-
a sword of
and-
flame, which I guess is
Mhm.
Kalendor, and then a branded hand. So
Mhm.
that's
A branded hand. I couldn't figure out what she was saying.
a
A
branded
Brendan hand. Yeah, a branded hand.
I had no idea what she was saying.
And
or is the sword of flame like
it could be his sort of flame, or it could be
or is this all the same fight? The Toman Head, there's a battle in the sky at Toman Head, the flame sword, which brands the hand with
could be.
brands Rand's hand. That's tough to say.
Brand. I did not know whether they're going to do the hand brands. I'm glad that they are.
Rand's hand brands.
And
It's Rand
fight in the sky was like, I was like, whoa, they're throwing it out there. They're putting the gauntlet right there. I like that. I love that they mentioned a false dragon in Saldea last
said his name.
episode. They said Marzum Taim here,
Yes. Mazrim Taim's name was mentioned this episode. I
which
forgot about that.
is like, hey man, you might be on the show.
Oh, he's definitely going to be on the show. He's an important character in the story. I can't see how they would cut him, but another one. Go ahead,
I
Jen.
have one.
Go ahead.
Matt killing Rand. So is that
the
like
freak?
a
What
vision
is
she has to
that?
interpret? I was saying to Dan, like, she doesn't see what's going to happen. It's like she sees something and then she has to like interpret it. So maybe that's like an interpretive way of saying something else. Because it obviously is not going to happen.
I feel like in the show though, everything that she's seen is things that actually comes like they're.
Well,
they're
she just sees the
mentioning it now.
fireflies. She sees the fireflies, and she sees she sees things over Egwene and Nynaeve that
like
makes
a ring and a
her. Yeah, she says, "I
white
know that means you're
flame.
going to be Aes Sedai." Yeah,
Oh, that's
it doesn't
right,
mean there's
yeah.
like a white flame burning over their head. It means like
Well, those are
like a
because
yellow.
there are some visions that she sees that she doesn't know what they mean, and some that she clearly knows what they mean.
right.
yeah. So this one I don't think
It was clearly Matt
gonna be
stabbing
literal.
Rand though with the
Right.
dagger. Like, how do they figure that
it's
into the
not.
story?
Maybe that's going to be like a what?
Is
He's
it-
got
So I'm
it.
gonna say,
Is it
it's-
gonna be-
that's
George.
not.
It's Fane.
That's
Is it going
not
to
going
wind
to
up?
be.
Is it going to wind up being Fane stabbing Rand with the
I
dagger?
think that it's going to be. It's going to look like that's what's happening, but that's not what actually occurs.
Is
Like
Matt
that Matt
pulling the
has
da-
the dagger. No, Matt has the dagger, and then Rand gets stabbed or hit in the side, and Rand goes to like catch him. And without the other stuff, it looks like he's stabbing him, but he's actually just catching him and bringing him to the ground.
Or does Matt pull the dagger out of Rand because somebody else stabs
Like
him?
is it reversed? Because he's got the dagger in his hand, and then he turns around and stabs Rand. I'm pretty sure that's the vision.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that one.
Well, so I will say this, right? In interviews that Donald Finn has had, he talks about how part of Matt's conflict here is this thing about like predestination versus like free will, and like if you're a Taviran and you're part of the pattern and you've got this thing mapped out for you, how much can you control yourself? And I think that his conflict in this season is like going to be about whether he takes the path of the dagger or he doesn't.
The path of daggers.
Right.
Path of
Who would-
daggers.
Who would sup with
path
the
of
mighty
daggers.
must climb the path of daggers.
Yes, he wants to sup with, but like I
He's
think
going to
that
sup with the mighty later this season.
yeah, so I think this may be a vision that doesn't come true. Like, and maybe something where
It always comes true.
They always come
no.
true.
Not in the way she's,
towards the end of the series,
no.
right? As things get closer to the end of the last battle, her visions become less concrete. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that plays out. I can't imagine that Matt stabs Rand.
They're changing
Imagine
a
it.
lot of things.
Can you imagine that
so-
Leandrin had a 70-year-old son?
By the
No.
way, her son's name in the credits, Eludrin.
That's Haludrin?
Yes. I looked up the actor, a picture of the actor,
Oh,
and that's him.
boy.
I looked it in the credits because I was
Oh.
like,
So it's just a similar name.
Everyone was
Listen.
losing it over that one.
Yeah,
Why did they? I'm shocked to my core about this story. Like, I don't get it.
They're trying to make her
I
more
don't-
sympathetic for TV,
But she's.
but they're
oh,
just going to
she's
blow her
awful.
spot in a couple episodes, aren't they?
I'm telling you, I don't think that they're going to.
There's a picture of her with
She
the two,
channels
with them
at them.
knocked, with them
Yeah.
knocked out on horses going through a waygate.
Yeah, but I think that they're going to. I think they're going to try and walk a line here for a little while at least.
I hope they
Ugh.
don't.
I
Just
hate
saying.
it.
Get her out of the closet.
I'm telling you,
There's plenty of other
I'm all
secret
in on.
Black Aja we've already met in the tower because of 70% of the Aes Sedai we meet are Black Aja. So,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just because she has a son doesn't mean that she's not bad. I think she.
I know. I just don't like them trying to trick us, and her being like sympathetic. Like, I don't know. I don't
I
like
don't think
Brendan
it's-
having. I don't want Brendan to have sympathy for Leandrin.
I think it's well, whatever. I think I much prefer people who are actual like fully fleshed out characters. Like I don't know. I don't
some
like a
people are
mustache
just
twirling villain.
some people are just but there's plenty of villains where not every one of them has to have a sad sob story background to them.
That's not a sad stop story. You don't know what happened. She could have killed that guy. She could have like been the cause of his sickness.
His brain
And
sickness.
she's just feeling bad about it.
Oh well, that's a
Or,
sob
but it's
story.
more likely that he's just old.
And he's got some
and maybe,
sort of cancerous
What?
disease.
Why did they name him Eludrin?
I don't know.
That's so mean.
That's what he's credited as. I feel like this is why this was a problem I had with the episode, because I feel like there was so much other stuff they could have pulled from the books to do with Nynaeve and Egwene at the tower. Why are we spending so much time with Leandrin?
Well,
And-
again, I'm still of the opinion that Leandrin's going to be Alviarin on the series.
Okay.
Like, I don't think she's fleeing the tower. I think she's staying.
How does she get away with it?
Unless
Why would she not?
Nynaeve, Elaine, and Nynaeve, Elaine, and Egwene don't know, like unless they
Right.
get knocked unconscious, not knowing how, brought to the Shanshan, Leandrin leaves, and then they wake up and they're just there.
Isn't there a shot of her channeling at them and they get knocked over?
Yeah,
Of Leandrin channeling at them?
yeah, and like one of the
It's in like
time
a cave.
Oh.
the time
yeah.
for powers now or whatever.
Oh.
One of the teasers. Yeah, I don't know, but
no, it's
like
We'll see how it
they're
plays
never
out.
gonna. I'll say this: they're not going back to the tower, right?
No, I know
None
that,
of those
but-
girls go back.
But they can't tell anybody. They're not going to
Who do
say
you
anything.
Anybody who
Who are they going to tell?
who are they going to tell?
Moraine's
that are
going to be. Moraine's there at the end.
right. Okay, no, I understand that. None of the people that they're going to talk to are going to be in any position to go to the tower and remove the keeper, the new keeper, right?
Oh,
if
you're saying-
Leandrin's ensconced there as the Alviarin character and she's the keeper under Elida, who are they going to be able to tell? No, trust me, she's Black Aja.
all the Saladar Aes Sedai.
They already are trying to get inside. Like, that's not going to do anything.
But so they're just not going to say anything. Oh well, we can't.
No, I'm saying them saying it or not saying it doesn't change the fact that she could be in that position, right?
But not until Swan is deposed.
Right, but they're not going to be in a position to do anything about that. Like, if they don't go back to the tower and they don't talk to anybody who goes back to the tower,
You don't
Right?
think that's like a message that's going to
Yeah.
go to, like that's shit. She's Black Aja. Right now, we got to go to the tower. Somebody's got to go to the tower and say that.
no, they do. But when they get there, Swan's deposed and everybody's killed, and she's in charge,
Oh, okay,
right?
I
Like,
don't like it.
I just think that you can, like, it's not that she gets away with it; it's that she puts herself in a position that she's untouchable, and that anybody who, like, would know that information is not going to be in a position to do anything about it.
So
Um,
I disagree, because if everybody starts saying she's Black Aja, you think that people in the tower aren't gonna care at all and be like, no, she's not, just because Leandrin says she's not Black Aja.
well, I also want to, like, they don't, like, the Aes Sedai do not admit that the Black Aja exists until later on, like to themselves or in public to anybody else until much later in the books.
Yeah, but
right?
they'll have proof. They can show them proof.
What's the proof? That
That-
she attacked us?
that
and like
Leandrin-
sent us over there?
Yeah.
That's not proof.
You don't think
That's not proof that she's Black Aja.
Okay.
Like, it's circumstantial evidence that she is. And like, yeah, she probably is. But like, what the Aes Sedai, the rebel Aes Sedai, are not going to
She broke her
tell
oaths.
the world that the Black Aja exists and they're in charge of the
No,
White
they're not
Tower.
going to tell the world. They're going to spread it inside the tower to all the tower.
Okay, but
The
like,
Tower Aes
are
Sedai.
they going to believe it?
Somebody's going to
People-
believe it. They're not just going to ignore it and say, "Oh no." They're just making stuff up now. They're acting like kids. Can we move on though? Anyway.
Yes, we should absolutely 100% move on.
I don't want to keep talking about this because there's so much other to talk about. Because Moraine says when she talks about realize that Ishamael was released, she says he could be waking the others. So that goes back to the conversation from last week we were having. Like, is that what it takes? Like, Ishamael has to go around and waken the other Forsaken, waken the Forsaken.
Well, we saw a scene.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's another hint that that's how it works. That's how the mechanic works. All right, did any of you catch this line? When Lan and Moraine are having that conversation about her being cut off from the source, like she's talking about how powerful and Ishamael just like with a flick of his wrist cut her off. Lan says it takes eight Aes Sedai to cut someone off. Did you-
Yeah, I
We
heard
take
that.
eight people to sever you from the source. Yeah.
he just says to cut you off. He doesn't say sever, I think.
Oh yeah, to cut you off.
Yeah.
And that's when she throws the line out. You have no right. And that's when she
No
says it.
perception of the power they wield.
So,
Right.
So first of all, this is very confusing. One, okay, they changed it from the books, right? Because it's first of all, it doesn't take 8 Aes Sedai because Leandrin's going out with 2 other Reds. How many Reds does she do it with in
Her.
the beginning?
It would take 8 to sever her because she's a very powerful Aes Sedai.
No, you think
Oh, I
Rand
didn't
knows
think
the
he meant that.
no? What is that? What is she tested to know how many Aes Sedai can cut her off from the source? Like,
I don't know.
I think that's the thing from the books where no matter what is it? 13 Aes Sedai can overpower any Chandler.
That's because there's
Chandler.
8. Maybe that's because there's 8 Forsaken.
Oh,
So
yeah.
8's the magic number now.
Yeah,
So 13.
Instead of 13.
So they're changing the magic number, but I
Yeah,
guess
that
I
works.
guess. But the way he said it made it sound like you need to have 8 Aes Sedai, which isn't the case in the first season. Because Leandrin's out with what, like 3 other Reds, and they're
4.
gentling.
There's 5 of them.
There's 5 of them gentling men, cutting people
Right.
off
Maybe
from
it's
the source.
different for, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I feel like this is the no, it like no matter how powerful you are, it takes 8 people can overcome you. Just the way he delivered it, maybe he could have delivered it a little better. Like I thought.
Well, maybe like no matter how powerful you
Or
are,
does he not
8
understand?
people can overcome you, but
Yeah.
doesn't mean that less people can't overcome
Yeah.
you.
Oh, I agree, but that's
So
not
like
the way
the
he
5
delivered it.
can gentle. It's just like, yeah, he said it takes 8.
Yeah,
But no, severing is gentling and stilling,
I don't know. He said to cut
and
you
burning
off.
out is
He
something
said to
different.
cut someone off.
That's all. Burning out is like it's an accident. It
Yeah,
all
they-
ends up
It's
being
they're
the
all-
same thing.
It's the
No,
same.
they're all
Okay,
different
all
because
right.
you can't heal somebody burned out. So when you're gentled or
Right.
stilled, you can still sense the one power. You just can't touch it.
But when you're shielded, then what?
You're shielded.
you-
It's the same thing, but it's not permanent. It's just a temporary thing. But when you're burnt out, that's it. You cannot feel the one power at all. But
Yeah,
when-
you
Probably
lose the
better,
ability to
right?
channel.
So when you're stilled and gentled, you can still sense it there, like off in the distance. Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes. 100% sure. Go look it up in the
You
book.
feel what you feel. You can feel that like it.
It's there.
Yeah.
You just cannot touch it, which is why.
not the
people-
Probably
same-
better
like,
to be
shit-
burned out.
Yes, that's why
Because
people
then-
go. I think wind up going like dying because they can feel it. That
Yeah.
they know it's there, but they just can't get at it. Whereas when you're burned out, you just totally you don't even feel it anymore. You don't
Yeah.
sense it anymore. And that's why gentling and stilling can be healed, and burned out you can't be healed.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's the way he delivered it. It just made
Hmm.
it seem like I don't know. It was weird to me. Woman at the window with Perrin, was that? I mean, in the books, this is Lanfear.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think Lanfear is the person who hammered the fade to the door?
No, but the woman at the window, like in the books, this scene happens
Right.
in the books. This
They-
is
Yeah.
Lanfear and
It's
the
rare.
fly. They even had the flies there, like in the
Yeah.
scene in the books.
I don't know. They made it sound like it's not Fane who hammered the fade because they were like, "Oh, something, whatever did this scared Fane off."
No, somebody said
They don't know.
Somebody said Fane. I think one of them said Fane did this or something like that.
Yeah, but then whatever, I can't say Elias. Elias was like, oh, whatever did this scared them off, or something scared them off, and
Yeah.
then they found the fade. Maybe it was
Yeah.
like the other way around, but
Yeah. The assumption is they ran away. They were scared. They ran
from
away.
something.
And then Basim was like, "You should see this," and there's a fade down
Yeah.
to the door.
Oh, who's the guy that Perrin sees in the vision? That's fighting with the fade.
I think it's just
Like
a
a
dark.
random
the
dark
guy
I
friend?
think
who
it's just
lives
a
in
dark
the.
friend.
Oh yeah.
No, another.
Yeah,
the
just
guy.
another guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean it could be Lanfear, but like why? Why would she be there?
I don't know. I'm just saying because this
Yeah,
is like that scene in the
but
books.
Rand is there in the book. That's why she's there.
Yeah.
So I don't
So
know.
why even put it there?
Just for us, like to get him to commit. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there would be reason why Lanfear would be interested in Perrin.
Yeah, later in the books, she does mess with all of them, or
I know.
attempts to
All
mess
right.
with all.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then Celine's story. That's obviously Luce Theron she's talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was an interesting echo to The Man Who Can't Forget
Yeah.
as well. Like that dynamic there. I'm gonna go one step further in my prediction. I think novice number 1 is gonna come visit Matt during the accepted test.
I have Nicola Treehill or Else Treehill meeting up with Matt.
Yeah, I do too. I added my predictions, but I think that's next. I think that's it somehow.
But you think that's Lanfear?
I think that it will be Lanfear in the scene with Matt,
Right.
and then you're gonna find out like she's not there anymore or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or she was somewhere else at the same time.
And then there's the Cad Swain name drop.
And who?
And I don't
Who's
know.
the second person?
I couldn't.
Cad Swain, Meladrin, blah 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 blah.
Tom
That's
just
what I
went
heard.
back while we were waiting for you, Jen, like to try to listen to it, and he couldn't make it out.
Yeah, I don't know if there's that's a random I said I name drop to my recollection. Cad Swain doesn't have any particular affinities with other people. Even
best
when
friend.
she was younger, I know she's very old.
It was like Riggs and Murtaugh.
Right.
Yeah. That's all I had. Spoiler on the spoiler side from it. I don't know if you had anything else.
Like the Trolloc in the Foregate, the Trolloc puppet.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was fun.
Let's see if there was anything else. I don't think so.
I do have so we're able to clear up some business we have here. So remember our list of season 2 unknown roles of some unconfirmed casts.
Yeah,
So
okay.
some of them appeared in these first 2 episodes, and we now know who they are.
Okay.
So Dara O'Toole, that was Johnny Jackass or whatever you called him. Yanni Jackass.
Johnny Dickhead.
Johnny
Yanni
Dickhead.
D-Bag.
Yanni D-Bag. I had him listed as Jarrett Byer. No.
Uh,
Jen, you had Nameless Water. Tom, you had Gray Man. We were all wrong on Dara O'Toole.
Should have been a gray man.
Jessica Boone. All right, I had her as a random blood, so I'm gonna give myself points for that one.
Fine.
And you're gonna agree to it when I get down to another one, and I give you points for something that's that's in here too. Jen, you had a Guinan. Tom, you had a Guinan. So wrong for those. Karima McAdams, we were all right as Soroth. Marie France Alvarez. So that was, remember, quoted as Celestine. She does play Celestine in the show, but Celestine's not an Aes Sedai. That's the woman I think that at the end that Rand talks to in the sanatorium who says,
get out
"This
of
is your new
town."
charge." That's Celestine. So we were all right, but we were all wrong.
Okay.
Raquel Cipriano. This is the one that I'm going to give you all credit for. Myself, I have no novice. She did have a line though, right? I think she's the one who's taking Leandrin's laundry.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
I think that's her. Jen, you had that's ellipses novice. Like, I think you had her like if someone's gonna say, "Oh, that," like she's gonna say, "Oh,
yeah,
that's somebody else."
She said
then-
Leandra just went that way.
And then Tom, you have novice spanked by Shiriam.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give us all credit for that one because
Okay,
we all got it
fine.
right that she was a novice. And then Sally Soleil, I'm keeping this still up in the air because we all have her as like the Else Nicola
Yeah.
part, and we've not seen that she's not that yet. So I think we might have
All
to
right.
wait till the end of the season to close the door on this one. So there we go. We were able to shut the door on some of these. Hopefully we'll be able to shut
Okay.
some more soon. So all right. Let's wrap it up here, I think.
Yeah.
We've talked enough about this. All right.
Holy moly.
I want to remind everyone to follow us on social media. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Join us over in Discord to continue the conversation there. We also post these episodes on YouTube, so be sure to check our YouTube page and like and subscribe there. Rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts, and check out our merchandise and Patreon pages to support us that way. We're going to be doing a live stream for the next episode. It'll also be released as a podcast, so check out social media and whatnot for more information about that. Any last words, Tom and Jen?
No, loving it so far.
Let's
Can't
go
wait to see
through
what's
those
next.
arches.
Yes. I'm very excited for this next episode. Thankfully, we don't have to wait to watch it.
That's right.
All right. So thanks, everyone, for listening, and you'll hear us next time.